reporting. We're recording episode 2 of Press X Coding Culture podcast. Introduce yourself.
We definitely been cooking for a while. Life and scheduling is not fun, but we're here and we're ready to talk about some good games. Uh, as as my friend mentioned, uh, um, um, Jesus Christ, uh, I'm RK128, Lord Sonic at lordsofgaming.net, and I've definitely been busy the past couple of days.
Oh yeah, it's been a busy week. I guess you could say week for the gaming industry in general.
Absolutely.
Just even outside of Gamescom, Xbox, as always, has stuff to talk about.
I actually could go at length a little bit about that, but we're gonna try to go.
Well, I think the last podcast was also half the episode was about podcast. I mean about Xbox.
It won't. I promise it won't dominate the discussion here. We will still have to give constructive criticism on Concord at some point too.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
All right, then let's. Why don't you talk about your events this weekend?
hmm So the one of the Lords of Gaming.net. They, I was the representative of Lords of Gaming.net for the New York Anime Expo. And what is the New York Anime Expo? The New York Anime Expo is this giant convention, not that different from the New York Comic Con. I've never been to that, so if I'm wrong, tell us in the comments. But it tons of anime stuff, a lot of promotion for a bunch of for Crunchyroll, Hulu, um, major animes. There was tons of merch, tons of booths, and the main reason I went to the expo was it was New York plays or something along those lines. There's a whole like indie initiative of developers in New York that come together for some of these events, and they have their games on the show floor. So I went for Lords of Gaming to play a bunch of really interesting indie games, and we have a lot of articles in the works. I just got to take all my notes. I shared some of them with the other writers and editors already, and we're, let's just say we're cooking. But I'll talk about some. I'll talk about some of the stuff I played here, and so one of the the this actually wasn't an indie game, but this was an interesting thing I saw on the second day when I was at the expo. They had Persona 3 episode Aegis DLC playable in a short demo that other press were able to play around, I think, around the Gamescom time period, a little bit before. But the demo basically had Aegis and three other party members go through a two floors in one of the dungeons, one of the early dungeons in the game. You had everyone was relatively like they're like in level 29, level 30, and the demo basically played just like what you would expect for Persona 3 Reload. I was gonna say Persona 3 Royal. Oh man, I'm tired. Sorry, but yeah, it looked beautiful. It ran really well. It was using part of the reason why it was at the expo was they were promoting these really beautiful PC game cases themed around Persona, and the details were so awesome. That it was like the glass case had like all of the 2D artwork you would see that you typically see in Persona 3. Like the back of the case had the C's logo, like with a special number on the back indicating what case you got. It was so cool. And I also managed to talk to an Atlas representative, and I will share some of that information when I write up the article, which hopefully will come out sooner than later, sometime this week. Tomorrow's gonna be busy with the. At the time of this recording, there's the Sonic Free trailer. Don't laugh, my friend. I know you think Sonic sucks, but hey, Sonic 3 is going to be hype. Keanu Reeves is going to be Shadow. It's awesome. And a big Nintendo Direct. Even though Nintendo is not really going to be there, we're going to have a bunch of indie games and third-party games show up. So there's a lot to talk about. But yeah, I really enjoyed my time with the Persona 3 episode Igus demo, and I look forward to that DLC. But two games in particular I want to give attention to that I thought really stood out to me. The first game is called Skate Story. This game is published by Devolver Digital. It's launching sometime next year, and the camera perspective is very similar to Skate on the PS3 and 360, but mechanically it feels more similar to like a Tony Hawk game because you're not using the right stick to pull off tricks, you're using the face buttons and the triggers. And the art style is incredibly striking, having like a pseudo like has like a 90s look. The player character has like this glass like design where when you bail out you shatter and you get like this really great sounding like glass breaking effect. Um, the short little like the demo. I didn't play the full demo. I played like a good like 10 something minutes, and I got through one of like from the from what I understood was like a tutorial, but like a level teaching you how to just time your jumps, and it was a lot of fun, and I really look forward to writing up the article, going more at length at what the developer told me about the project. Um, and the other game, I have my notes right here, is called Silencer, and this was a personal like accomplishment because this is the first time I was able to conduct an interview basically with the game developer, and it it was really enlightening. Like the developer, let me just her name is Diane Wang, and she's the main writer and the main developer. And the whole idea of the game is you play a member of you play as basically somebody who decides if an article can be approved or censored for a newspaper. And and one of the main comparisons to the title is Papers, Please, in terms of like what the general kind of what thing you're going for. Where in Papers, Please, you stamped like you look through documents, you stamp them, you let people in, you let people out. And this is kind of somewhat similar to that, but there's typing involved, extensive reading involved, and there's a lot of like additional like little wrinkles to the formula that she's working on in in um in the build that wasn't shown at the expo. And my thoughts are a little bit scattered, but the full article will go into length about what the game is, and I really look forward to talking about it.
I have one question.
Mm-hmm.
This would require gamers able to read.
People, don't be a jerk. People can read.
I know, but based on the Twitter comments you read sometimes.
Oh, look at that, folks. I guess the podcast is ending short. Have a great night. Anyway,
Hey, at least it wasn't a song joke.
anyway, but I'll talk more about the other games I played at the expo with one few articles at Lords of Gaming that myself and the other writers and editors are working on right now. And just a it was a lot of fun being at the expo. Um, a very awkward person if you couldn't tell, and being don't laugh.
Aren't we
I
all awkward?
fair enough, but it was a lot. But I went to different vendors. I saw some really amazing cosplays. Like one cosplay, he had the guy was wearing a suit. He had a briefcase, but his head was a CRT TV. And like I literally came up to him and was like, "How did you do this?" And I saw a Danny Phantom cosplay. obviously there was a ton of cosplays of popular like female characters like Tifa and the like. It was awesome, and I look. Well, no firm plans yet, but it's. Don't be surprised if you hear about me going to Comic-Con and covering the stuff there in the future. But
In California?
no, New York Comic Con.
Oh, there's a New York Comic. Oh, okay.
Yeah, in October.
I was gonna say that's kind of far.
Yeah, the main reason I was able to go, I was given the opportunity to go to the New York Anime Expo is because I live so close by. It's literally a bus and train right away.
That's good.
But yeah, that's everything. I'm willing to talk about right now about my time there. Just I'm sorry, but this content needs to be used for Lords of Gaming, and I talked if I feel comfortable with.
All right. I mean, thank you for what you've given us. Now, what are you playing currently, RK?
I hooked up my old CRT TV after going to the Long Island Gaming Expo a few weeks ago, and a mixture of retro games. I'm currently doing a playthrough of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and 3 zones in I already got Supersonic, so I look forward to beating that game again. And to celebrate the GOAT that is Shadow the Hedgehog, through using my modded Wii, I played Shadow the Hedgehog on a CRT TV, and it's very just casually playing it on and off. But in terms of stuff I actually am sitting down and playing, honestly, not really much of anything as of late. And the only thing I really see myself playing in the future, in like the next like few days or so, is Persona 3 Reload. I want to get back into that on the Xbox and and I'm definitely not playing Black Myth Wukong until they actually finish the game. Okay, I'm being harsh, but we will get to that when we get to that.
Oh yeah. And then for me, what I've been playing is I've started a new game called it's not a new game, but like new for me. It was Kingdom Come Deliverance. If you're
Ooh,
not if you're not familiar, I believe it's the same creator from the Mafia games, and he started a new studio called Warhorse Studios. And then, because I've kept my eye on it for years, but I've always kind of like RPGs have never been my favorite genre, so I've kind of been turned off to the hardcore mechanics. But surprisingly, like the focus on immersion, like it's like very like try to be it's like always trying to be really realistic, and I really dig that.
how do you like the narrative choices?
Oh, that game hooked me instantly with this character and world. Like I was like 2 seconds in, dang, I'm sold.
That's awesome, man.
And then I've been hooked. Like I think I started Friday and I'm already 9 hours in.
That's awesome when you get into it, when you can sit down and really get into a game.
Oh yeah.
I
And
remember when I played Final Fantasy 16, I played like 5-6 hour sessions when I played through that because I was really engrossed in the story.
yeah, but yeah, that has been a beautiful journey so far. Nice weekend, and it kind of reminds me like, you haven't played The Witcher 3, right?
I played a little bit of it, but
Okay, but like The Witcher 3 really hooked me. Like, I think I pulled an all-nighter on that game once.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Did
it was
did
like
the
also
Gwent,
giving me very similar feelings.
did the Gwent minigame pull you in, or you're not into that kind of stuff?
What minigame?
The Gwent, like the card game.
Oh,
That's
I
the
haven't tried any of the minigames yet.
okay.
I saw one board game, but I think I ignored it.
Fair enough, man.
Though I think what was it the minigame in Rebirth that was kind of like reminded me of Gwent was really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't like Gwent itself, but I guess you could say the Rebirth version that was kind of inspired by was pretty good.
That's what happens in games, man. Like one developer creates an idea or like popularizes it, other games take that idea and try to do their own spin on it.
Horizon also the second Horizon game also had some like cool mini board game.
That's cool.
But yeah, I've been like, I'm now really excited for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Oh yeah, I imagine you're hyped for that. Once you finish,
Sorry about your second place now.
that's okay. If anything, you'll probably play the definitive version of Avowed when it potentially comes out on, if it comes out on PlayStation at some point down the line.
Are we really gonna use the word if?
I'm gonna say if because that isn't confirmed yet, but
I'm
right
gonna
now,
say when.
I'm gonna say if in case of being fair to the developers.
Yeah, but I don't know. You, the stakeholders, want to make money.
I guess we'll just jump right into this to get this Xbox topic out of the way.
Okay, I was gonna go build up to it, but if you want to get right into it,
It's organic transition. You mentioned Xbox. We'll just go.
so Indiana Jones.
I actually did the write up for this because I was given the opportunity through Lords of Gaming to see the digital event, and I was able to just write up my impressions on the footage and the gameplay and everything, and it looks really impressive. It looks like it has a lot of potential to be one of the best games this year. But in typical Microsoft fashion, they put a rake in front of them and step on it by, in addition to saying, "Oh, PlayStation version's coming," instead of putting it in a blog post or just waiting to announce it sometime after the launch of the Xbox version, they make it a one more thing announcement. And instead of people talking about how visceral the melee combat is or how cool the exploration is, they talk about, oh, it's coming to PlayStation. It's coming to PlayStation. What's going on at Xbox? It's coming to PlayStation. And then in addition to that whole thing, Xbox also put down two additional rigs where through the developers behind Towerborn they gave a really good explanation on why it's launching through Steam Early Access first. But Xbox made the mistake of heavily marketing the title as a Xbox title instead of like a PC title or PC Game Pass title, like they've done for some of their titles, like the Age of Empires games and the like, or Aura History Untold, when they knew for a fact it was coming to Xbox at launch. And so now instead of everyone talking about how cool Towerborn looks, since it looks to combine Dragon's Crown and like classic beat 'em up gameplay with like fighting game as combat, a little hub area to explore more. Nah, everyone's upset. Oh, it's why is it not coming? Why is it not coming to Xbox? Well, PC gets to play it first. That's not fair. And then the last thing to add to the pile is Avowed, where while the melee combat does look rough, the corner, not just Mr. Maddie pointed it out, and a bunch of other outlets pointed that out, but the problem is the game looks visually really impressive. You have like a lot of choices within choices. The ranged combat looks really good. And Lords of Gaming for both Towerborn and this were able to get like footage and interviews and stuff. But you know what everyone's talking about? Everyone's talking about the fact that it's running at 30 frames per second on Xbox. And the developer could have worded things a lot better. They could have said something along the lines of, "We don't have a target frame rate right now for consoles," or we'll talk about frame rate closer to launch. No, they made the comment of, "We think 30 frames per second is fine for a first-person single-player action adventure game." Meanwhile, Xbox is launching in 60 frames. From what we know so far, first-person action adventure game in December with Indiana Jones. And the typical thing with like first-party titles on PlayStation is all of their games, if they don't want it 60 frames per second natively, they have an optional performance mode if you want 60 frames. So it's another rig Xbox put down for no reason. I'm rambling. You go first.
I'm just gonna stick with my original argument since I've told you since we first talked about this.
Yeah.
Like, you have no actual benefit from announcing this early. Or even during the release date show, you could have waited like another event to do it. You're just stealing the thunder from your own reveals.
Absolutely. It deflates like all the hype. Like there was the embargo that was for the Indiana Jones preview that Lords of Gaming and the Iron Lords podcast had. It was it the embargo was around the time of the after opening night live. And what ended up happening was all this good press the game was getting out the window because Xbox thought it was a brilliant idea to talk about, hey, coming to PlayStation in spring. And it's just I don't understand why they could have did what they did with Doom the Dark Ages, when that was revealed at the Xbox Games showcase. Remember when I was at the trailer at the Xbox stage did not mention PlayStation. PlayStation announced it on social media. It's coming to their platform. Why don't you let them do that? Why don't you let them do the announcement?
So hear me out. The Indiana comes out on December 9th, correct?
Yes.
And the Game Awards are December 10th. Was it so hard to release the game December 9th, have Xbox fans happy, and then announce the PS5 port on the Game Awards?
They could have done that, but
Or
they
even better, an Xbox Direct in early 25.
that could have been like because we know for a fact that Xbox has more games planned for PlayStation and most likely Switch 2 next year. So they could have just had like a small like direct just talking about everything then, Like I don't understand what pressured them to reveal it. It's coming to PlayStation.
I have a prediction. It's probably related to stockholders. Or I feel like they wanted to just want to get it in front of it.
Rip the band-aid off, so to speak.
So to speak. I don't know. Kind of feels like not really Phil as CEO anymore. It's Phil doing just the Microsoft execs have just taken over completely now.
I'm just gonna just speak from my mind about this. At this point, we shouldn't listen to a single word Phil and Matt said, because what they literally said they literally said at the start of the year when asked if Indiana Jones and Starfield were the four games being ported to PlayStation, they said no. At
He
that point,
technically didn't lie.
I know they technically didn't lie, but Indiana Jones coming up with I would be shocked if Phil didn't know about the PlayStation 5 port when he made those statements, because the ports come. It does. You can't just finger snap a PlayStation port. Like it's not that easy to develop a port.
I wonder it might have started a bit later. That's why it's coming in spring 25.
Or maybe they just wanted to just
Because I mean, spring 25. What is that going to be like a main release?
It's. I think some outlets reported that it's April.
I mean, what is that? 4 months?
That's basically nothing in the grand scheme of things.
I know, but like, I don't know. I would bet at the time there possibly couldn't have been plans. You never know.
We
Like,
don't know. We don't have. We do not
it
have
could
the.
have just like been, greenlit in June.
I don't think it takes 6 to 8 months to make a PlayStation port, but hey, I don't know game development, so
Yeah, it's just an idea, seeing the other side.
yeah.
And then for Val, I don't know, like it's not. And I want to say it's a beautiful looking game, but it's like not the most graphically intensive game I've seen.
I think it might just be that Unreal Engine 5 is just a real bottleneck this generation for these new consoles. Like, because it seems like every single Unreal Engine 5 game struggles, unless you're Fortnite.
Yeah, that's true. Like I'm trying to think. Can't really think of really polished. But at the same time, I feel like next year is when we're starting to really get like the big Unreal 5 releases. Because
That's
like we haven't had that like that big, the big talented technical talented dev yet.
but honestly, the really big developers that really push their internal engines are the Rockstars and the Naughty Dogs, and
Yeah.
they
I
only
mean,
have.
Hellblade 2 was obviously not going to be 30 frames because of that was just raw fidelity.
No, I mean that was kind of. I mean, I would have preferred if they had an option for 60 frames, but if Xbox players, that Microsoft is blatantly telling people your option is PC. Just like PlayStation fans, that option is the PlayStation 5 Pro. One of that's eventually.
I've been hearing that the Pro is going to be more focused on fidelity and frames though. Well, I mean, PlayStation games are releasing on 60,
I know, I know. So
so there's
PlayStation
that.
does have that.
Imagine if Astro's 120.
I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't be the first time a platformer was used to kind of push like new hardware at the time. Like I
Yeah.
remember, um, I don't think it's a fair comparison, but when the Xbox One X came out, they Super Lucky Cell came out on that, and it was marketed as an Xbox One X, like major title in terms of what it can do on there. So Astro doing that isn't really surprising.
Okay, I mean, I guess we should wrap up the Xbox title up. Do you have any last words?
No, at this point, it's disappointing that the thing with Xbox is they genuinely have good looking games coming out. Like I'm actually really quite excited for Avowed, Towerborn, and Indiana Jones. It's just and also just from the perspective of someone that's helping cover these titles with a gaming outlet, like it's kind of frustrating to see some members in the gaming community latch on to the more negative aspects of like Xbox's marketing decisions rather than what these games are trying to do themselves. It's This kind of takes away from what these developers are trying to do, and my time at the Anime Expo talking to actual game developers, you see the heart and soul these people put into their products. Like one game I played, I was initially the developer just kind of gave me whatever kind of energy, but then as I was playing the demo and he saw I was engaged with what his game was like, he stood up and watched me play it, and he was smiling at me as I finished talking to him about it. Like developers love people playing their games, and it's seemingly when it comes to these the bigger you get in terms of like the budgets, and if the publisher, the worse it really is for like marketing and everything. But maybe that's just
Mm-hmm.
kind of looking at things wrong. I don't know.
Yeah. Funny thing is, and I saw this comment on somewhere. It was like, "Yo, I just saw Call of Duty at Xbox Remembered."
Oh, we're, we're not gonna continue. We're not gonna beat this dead horse,
I
right?
know, I'm not gonna be that. I just thought that was funny.
I agree with you. It's funny. It is what it is with Xbox and Microsoft at this point.
Yeah, I don't want to make this Xbox episode again.
Just to cap off the Xbox talk, if you're watching slash listening to this and you only own an Xbox as your console, has made it very clear that you're not really needed. You're part of this ecosystem technically, and you have options with PC and streaming and everything, but you're not the focus anymore. And their actions, as I always personally think, actions speak louder than words. And while I like my Xbox, I own everything. I own a PlayStation, a Switch, and I have a like a I'll be getting a mid-range, like high-end, like I don't know the specs, but like whatever, but like a decent gaming laptop for a reason, so I can play what I want to play, and not have to worry about missing out on things. So that's it with Xbox.
All right, let's move on. Speaking of a current story that just happened today, we have the Star Wars Outlaw reviews are in.
Mm-hmm.
And then it looks like from a technical state, it's not the best. And then from a design state, there's some interesting like things. Like for example, the shooting isn't on par with the studio's previous work, or it has there's those that older stealth design where like if you get caught, like make you restart the checkpoint.
Yep.
Like it just seems like I don't know. Because I remember I don't remember the quote exact where the quote was exact, but I think it was Tom Henderson mentioned like the game originally had like higher ambitions, but this Ubisoft wanted it out this year, so it was like toned down.
So, are you saying that we have like, another title that should have been like delayed 3 to 6
No, I
months?
think they were like ready to launch it, but like I think the systems were gonna have more depth, you know. The gunplay would probably be more refined, etc.
So, are you saying like the scale originally was bigger, but they cut it down last minute? Or
Yeah, well, probably not last. Probably like the second half development. They're like, yo, we need. Why don't we release this in 24?
that's weird when you consider the fact they have a big Assassin's Creed game coming out.
Yeah, that is. But I was wondering, maybe they wanted to do like in the beginning, like the first half of the year originally.
But the game got well. Maybe they were thinking Skull and Bones was going to pop off more than it did, and we saw what happened with that game. So instead of giving the Outlaws team more time to cook, they told the chefs to get put out a burnt dish.
It's not even just like being rushed. Like I don't know, like the core like mechanics. They just don't. They seem to be bare bones. Like you can only like mainly use a pistol, but you can like pick up other types of weapons, but like lose them like after you complete the combat encounter. Like it just seems like some questionable design from what I've seen based on the perspectives of others in gameplay.
Well, well, if anyone's curious about in-depth thoughts about like Outlaws, watch Mr. Matty Plays review of Star Wars Outlaws, and other outlets like IGN and the like covered the game, and you can get like more different perspectives on a title. For context sake, I haven't played this, and I honestly don't see myself playing it for quite a while because it never really looked that appealing to me, save for maybe like the space combat. But um, before I kind of get my general thoughts, how about you go first? Because I think you have more to say than I do here.
For Outlaws, I was really like I would say I was pretty hyped. I would say I was like really looking forward to this game like for a few months now, and I don't know. I just don't feel compelled to play it anymore for a game I was hyped for.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. At the very least, you got Assassin's Creed in
Oh
the
yeah,
next.
I have faith in that game because like I follow the Assassin's Creed development behind the scenes. Like I know how that because those games are supported like they get the time they whatever they want. Like they got 4 years. Where if you remember AC Valhalla, that was made in 2 years and 9 months, and it was like during COVID. So like now like they're letting them cook, take their time with Assassin's Creed. They got 4 years. They get like 10 support studios and more. So
Yeah,
I'm really excited for that.
and you also got to take into consideration Assassin's Creed games typically get like a good year plus of support. I mean, look at Valhalla.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's gonna be much longer now because they're launching the AC Infinity Hub thing. It's like designed to prolong these games even longer. It's like a sort of live service for single players. There's gonna be adding content through the Infinity Hub.
That's good. And
Oh, by the way, it was a development code name. They now are calling it the Animus Hub. My bad.
Animus Hub.
Yeah, which makes sense for the themes of the series. During development, they called it AC Infinity, but for like the product, it will be called the Animus Hub.
I think that's a much better like name for it because it kind of aligns with, as you mentioned, the narrative and canon of the games. It kind of helps unify things a bit more, and you want to avoid using the word infinite or infinity for your video games.
Halo Infinite.
I say this as someone who actually really enjoyed Infinite's multiplayer. Don't use
It was a good multiplayer, but like there's just some questionable design.
another game that unfortunately didn't get the chance to cook for long enough before it.
Yeah. For the Halo Infinite fans, it's a great game.
The gameplay is amazing, the shooting is awesome, and now at this point in time, if you boot the game up, you got a ton of friggin' maps to play. That's
Yeah.
a me because I remember when the open beta came out for the multiplayer. This is someone who doesn't typically play shooters. I played in the multiplayer for Halo Infinite to the point where I almost completed the first battle pass like fully, and I never played for a game.
Yeah, but I don't know. What's interesting is Massive has released two huge licensed games a year apart from each other. And both of them are in the 70s on Metacritic, I think. So it feels like I don't. I'm going to speculate that there's a lot of pressure and time management issues.
I also imagine like if a licensed game, it depends on the publisher in terms of like the quality it needs to be in before it comes out. Because for a publisher, they look at the name of the license they have, and they can kind of gauge if they need to put in the full effort or not. Like Star Wars and Avatar, those are big Disney IPs, and people are gonna probably buy those games based off the IP name alone. And the publisher probably and Ubisoft probably figures that if these games come out undercooked or not as polished as an Assassin's
By the
Creed,
way, one thing James Cameron was involved with the Avatar game.
really.
Yeah, I think like because he's like very involved with that universe. Like I think like gave them a narrative to work with, like connected to the overall lore.
Well, from my
Because he
understanding,
was at the Ubisoft show, if you remember.
that's right. That's true. I think with Avatar though, it's not like Outlaws in the sense where it's
Avatar actually I saw looked like it had like a really good like shooting gameplay. Like it was because it was trying to be like a first person Far Cry, I think. So they did have polished gameplay at least. Whereas Outlaws, I don't know, the gunplay looks disappointing if you compare the work on the Division. And the team is moving on to Division 3 after Outlaws.
yeah, it's interesting how Avatar gets from what you're saying the bigger amount of polish and the bigger budget, so to speak, while Outlaws they definitely
I think Outlaws got a lot of budget, but like they were probably more focused because they had some like cool ideas. We have the reputation system, where you have like reputations with the different like criminal organizations of the galaxy. They had like a 5-star wanted system, kind of similar to GTA. And the transition like from space travel to planets was not seamless, but it was like more immersive than Starfield, let's say. So like they definitely have quality, but it just feels like I don't know, it needed more.
well, hopefully, like a lot of games, unfortunately, this generation, it'll get updated to a state where it's the realized vision of the game.
It's also very buggy from what I've seen.
I
Like
saw
I had a friend who played, and like 20 minutes in, he encountered a big bug and went back to Black Myth Wukong.
I remember I saw a bug on Twitter today where your character was performing a stealth takedown, and they wound up just be the character essentially kind of the character, and while she was doing the takedown, she was moving backwards, and all the enemies were alerted. And what is going on here? And then I guess you mentioned, as you mentioned, Black Myth. That's another game that launched in a pretty rough state, but everyone's kind of
Before
saying,
we move on to Black Myth, I have
yeah.
one more thing to say. An interesting angle I was thinking because the Assassin's Creed is getting the new engine upgrade,
Yep.
and I feel like it's technically Massive is still running on their old engine. I would imagine it's still pretty dated, because it was like a made for the more PS4 generation.
Do you think because they're using the engine is aging that they were unable to realize some of the?
I wouldn't doubt that it could have slowed things down or made, because they have some cool systems in place, so it could have been hard to implement some of these systems.
That makes a lot of sense because I dabbled with Division 2, and one of the main like mechanics for that was just shooting, going behind cover, getting loot, etc. And Outlaws has a very big focus on stealth, at least from what I've seen gameplay wise, and Division is not known for stealth.
Yeah, and like the stealth just doesn't seem that interesting. Like in Outlaws, it just doesn't feel like it's like a stealth. It's not designed as a stealth game. Like it's basically you do take out some people, and you have an animal that lures people away, and that's it.
And that's weird when Ubisoft were the masters of stealth games with the Splinter Cell series in the past. You can even make the argument that games like Far Cry, with the amount of weapons and flexibility you have with the open world, you can kind of approach enemy encounters in a lot more varied ways in comparison to what you're able to pull off in Outlaws. Different developers than Ubisoft, I know, but that DNA should still be present in some form.
It reminds me of the Dice Snowdrop engine.
Oh yeah,
I remember when it was at BioWare.
yeah.
But I don't know, because I'm kind of curious, because Ubisoft is doing their new Animus pipeline thing, where the Assassin's Creed team is working on this new engine, but like they want to make it a universal engine around Ubisoft, basically. So I'm curious what Massive does for Division 3. Do they update their Massive engine, or do they move on to the Ubisoft pipeline, the Anvil pipeline?
It depends on a few things like the state of production that Division 3 is in.
I
How
think it's pretty early,
If it's early, then it's probably being developed with that engine pipeline in place. But if
at least
there's
in pre-production, I would assume.
pre-production, I would imagine at
Because
that
this is
point,
the Outlaws team itself, like the director, I think, or producer.
if I had to guess, then they're probably gonna, after all their work on Outlaws is done, they're gonna be moving on to Division 3 and work with that engine because you gotta keep in mind, Division is a live service franchise, and if you're gonna keep around an old engine, then that's not really the wisest decision.
I mean, these engines get upgraded because like the new Assassin's Creed engine, it isn't a new engine. It's just like a very much upgraded version of the old iteration.
There's also the whole Call of Duty engine, which the framework to this day originates from ITech. So
Yeah, yeah. The IW9 engine, like, is like honestly one of the best engines in the business. Like, there's a reason it's the Universal Call of Duty engine now.
absolutely.
Because I remember I was at Black Ops Cold War, like that engine looked really dated because it was using the updated version of the Black Ops 3 engine.
Hmm.
So like they got dragged to switch to IW's tech, which wasn't just because of the engine, it was because they were moving into one application, so everybody got to share the same framework.
Well,
But
apparently,
you were talking about Black Myth.
yeah, Black Myth Wukong. For context, a lot of people are saying that it's like a generation-defining game. That it's like one of the best games this year, and I haven't played it, but I don't plan on playing it because the console version seemingly is awful. Like from what Digital Foundry has said, the game.
Awful? I don't know. I thought it was better than awful from what I've read.
I'm kind of over exaggerating, I think,
I
and
feel like they said like it was a pretty good attempt. Like they had some like interesting solutions that they've not seen before, but the dev is clearly inexperienced like with consoles because they were a mode developer previously, if I am correct.
I would be willing to give them slack in that regard, but I remember back this is actually an article idea I'm kind of kicking around in the headspace, but I remember back in the early 2000s till like 2010 or whatever, where you had games like the original Far Cry or Crisis or Fear, where they were, or Doom 3 for that matter, where they were PC exclusives, and they came to consoles later when the consoles were powerful enough to run the games. And I feel like with so many games this generation, Black Myth is one of them, but other games like Cyberpunk, um, Lords of the Fallen that came out last year on PS5 and Series X.
Well, Cyberpunk was kind of a different story.
I know, but the point I'm trying to get at is if your game isn't ready for console, or your game is too demanding for console, don't release it on console. Release it on PC first, because that is a big enough platform for your game if the Steam numbers of Black Myth Wukong are any indication.
I just
Like,
saw a story today, by the way. They failed a certification test on Xbox.
yeah, that's why it's not coming out on Xbox.
I have a
But
feeling that has to do with the Series S.
yeah, of course it does. Xbox made the Series S because they wanted to have a cheap entry point into this generation for people who can't afford a Series X, but they didn't realize that by having that mandate, it's not like how it is on Switch, where you have two performance profiles with docked and portable. It's different when it comes to
I'm
Series
really
X.
curious what the Switch 2 will do to third party.
I think what the Switch, I think with
Because
Switch,
we will lower the benchmark down.
it depends because all the rumors. Well, we don't. Well, rumors are rumors. We don't really know what this means.
Yeah.
They're credible enough to that signify that it's between a PS4 Pro and an Xbox Series S.
Mm.
So it's definitely going to have enough horsepower to run games. And the big difference between a Switch 2 and a S is people are going to buy the series that hopefully, but people are going to be buying Switch 2s like in buttloads, because Nintendo's going to have a lot of big games on there. Like
I
notice
mean,
how
people would be buying it buttloads anyway.
notice how like we very likely have a next gen Pokemon game next year, a Mario Kart next year, some type of Mario game next year.
Metroid Prime 4.
That too, that's probably a cross gen title at this point. Like
Wasn't there a big game announced? Was it the last? What are the Nintendo? What are they called? Nintendo Directs?
Nintendo Direct, Metroid Prime. Yeah, they announced Metroid Prime
And
4.
that 2D Zelda game. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, that's coming out. That's coming out next.
Yeah.
But Metroid Prime 4, like I wouldn't be shocked if that's like that has a Switch 2 version.
Mm-hmm.
But like I think the point I'm trying to get at is what the Switch 2 developers they're gonna just put up with the Switch 2's limitations because they're gonna want their games on that platform because they know people are gonna buy games on that platform, especially in the first year, because A, it's portable, and B, the launch window is a big deal for developers, big and small, when it comes to sales on a new platform. With the Series S, it's not selling the numbers like a PlayStation 5 is selling. So developers aren't going to put up with the headache of optimizing for a Series S when they could spend that time making it on PlayStation 5, but using whatever they have of the PS4 dev kits they have laying around, like what Capcom's doing with their fighting game collections that continue to skip Xbox. And it's just it's like I alluded to earlier when I was talking about the Xbox titles, where if you only own an Xbox, you're pushed into buying another box. Like I want to play Final Fantasy 16 and Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 obviously was PlayStation only, but Final Fantasy 16, that's a third-party game, but it was exclusive. That's why PlayStation would play that. So I mean, and then not to mention Marvel vs. Capcom is a big deal. Those are big games, and that skipping Xbox is a big deal. And even if these games are kind of smaller scale in the case of Capcom stuff, it's like now you're missing out on Black Myth Wukong, and that's a big game. Even if it won subpar on PlayStation people are going to be buying that, and they're going to be playing that. Xbox
Oh,
people.
speaking of PlayStation 5 version,
Yeah.
I pulled up the Digital Foundry article, and they call the fetching flawed but fixable, which doesn't sound that bad.
Like I said, I'm probably overplaying things, but
Well, I've been hearing like another issue with the game, which is like not like the visual or graphical issue, but like the input delay is like really bad.
well, the reason why the input delay is bad is because it's using frame generation, and
Ah,
and
that's why.
and and, and frame generation. I'm not a PC dude, so again,
But I
comments.
mean, Flame generation works pretty well on PC.
Well, yeah, because it was made with PC in mind first, and
Uh,
consoles second. So, like I said, if you can't make your game work on console, don't put it out on console until it can work on console.
I mean, I'm cutting them some slack because they're kind of new to the console scene.
I would be more forgiving on that, but at this point, it's like you just don't want me to play your game until it's ready. So that's fine. That's $60 I save until it works as intended on PlayStation consoles because and also it's a side tangent. People, I don't like the fact that people kind of say this is Souls like that Souls like when it just puts it's another reason why I kind of like on Black Myth because a lot of the lead up to launch was this is like a Souls like
I mean, to be fair, that was kind of I wouldn't agree with any developer, but they didn't like correct people at first.
mm,
Like they didn't correct, so they could have easily like clarified at first, because we only found like it's not a Souls like this year basically.
sure.
It's been hyped on for years. Whereas Phantom Blade Zero, they like made it clear from the very beginning, we are Souls like in level design, and that's where we are Souls like in.
And I'm very happy that they made that clear because that looks really cool and I would like to play it. If it's a
But they
Souls,
did like from the very beginning. That's a key.
but I talked a lot on my end. What do you think about the whole?
I mean, Black Myth doesn't seem like it's a game for me. The technical issues are interesting. And they seem better than expected. That's what I'm gonna say. I expected it to be a lot worse. But I think that's all I have, unless you have something else to say.
I think my rambles were enough.
Well, we were talking about PlayStation, so I want to talk about a story I saw today. I believe Jeff Grubb stated a rumor that there will be no PlayStation Showcase, but a State of Play for the Pro.
Hmm. Does he mean like the state of play is centered around the Pro, or the Pro is the last announcement?
Okay, well, I'm reading directly right now. One sec.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay, here it is. I don't know. It just says State of Play. They're not going to have a showcase for the Pro, but they have State of Plays where the Pro will be revealed.
So we're kind of looking. We have two kind of scenarios here. Excuse me. One is they kind of have it as like the one more thing that they reveal at the end of the state of play. The other thing is they open the state of play with the whole breakdown of the Pro, and then they spend the remainder of it talking
Oh,
about.
let me clarify. He said he heard that PS4 Pro is still planned for 2024, and that a State of Play, not a showcase, is scheduled for the end of September.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't is Tokyo Game Show earlier in September or later?
I believe was this I thought it was later actually. Wait, let me look this up.
Because we know for a fact Kojima's going to have some.
Yeah, it's at the end of September as well.
It's at the end of September.
September 26th to September 29th.
Okay, so maybe what the plan is, they kind of have a state of play. They talk about some games. They announce a pro at the end. And then Tokyo Game Show, they have the Death Stranding thing with Kojima, and they kind of use that to kind of demonstrate what the pro can pull off.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, what, because we technically we can have a first party presence state of play, but I don't really expect big, like, the big showpiece titles like Ghost.
Well, they're probably saving a lot of that for next year because I feel like
I know, but like, come on, man, build up the hype already.
I'm guessing what PlayStation. We've seen PlayStation.
Oh wait, I just had a thought.
Okay.
If Death Stranding 2 is, I'm gonna guess it's gonna be like one of 4 or 3 releases in 2025, and let's say it's the first half of 25.
Yeah.
I think September we could get a date.
September we can get a date for Death
Death
Stranding.
Yeah, probably an April or May release, somewhere in the first half.
I could see that, especially since we know for a fact that they've been making great progress on the game so far.
And if the state of play and Tokyo Game Show is at like around the same time, I could see like, there's like a trailer, like this is the date, and for more gameplay, we go to Tokyo Game Show.
I could see that because some PlayStation doesn't do it sometimes, but other companies do that too.
Yeah, so yeah, I could see this is a possibility because they did like, could the Horizon Online show? Because they aren't afraid to show multiplayer games at state of plays.
Horizon multiplayer.
Yeah, the Horizon Online. Because that's been in dev since like the PS4 generation. I think it's finally time to show that. But I'm also kind of worried. Do you release them the same year as Monster Hunter? Because Monster Hunter isn't a live service, but I don't know. Like, could the gameplay styles probably do have some similarity?
It really depends on what the gameplay is with that.
Yeah, because this Horizon gameplay isn't exactly Monster Hunter, so it's kind of hard to see how similar they would be or what the crossover is.
You can also take into consideration they might just decide to lump that multiplayer game alongside the rumored Zero Dawn remake.
No, I think Zero Dawn remakes the Lego game.
That's a good point.
So I think that's the Zero Dawn remake. Because I think they're just retelling the first game by like in a comedic tone.
No, they are. That's
yeah. So I would assume that's the remake. For example, for a second, I thought about the Until Dawn remake.
There's a lot of PlayStation.
Oh, there's just 2 Dawns.
Yes.
But yeah. Sorry about that.
They're not ready yet, Dawn. No. Rest in peace.
Yeah. I don't think that relationship would ever recover. Because I heard it was. I've been hearing like from people like at the time saying the relationship was not pretty at the end.
Damn shame. I love Dax. So that was a really good game from them. The God of War games are genuinely fantastic. So it's a shame that they couldn't keep that relationship going.
Yeah, but if hopefully PlayStation has a good presence this September, and hopefully we get a bigger picture on their slate for 2025.
Well, I mean, the thing with PlayStation is we kind of have a rough idea about what.
Yeah, you do have a rough idea, but like, there's a possibility Ghost could be delayed to 2026.
That too, like especially if GTA 6 is what gets the PlayStation marketing. If PlayStation gets some marketing for that, they don't really need a big full game because everyone's gonna be buying PlayStations just to play Grand Theft Auto.
Oh yeah, but I'm sure they'll have a good lineup. Because even if it's not Sucker Punch, they have many other studios are probably ready to start, cooking to release. Because we have Bluepoint was that 2020, 4 years ago.
Yep.
And then I don't know, I think it's too early for Housemarque, but maybe if they had like a smaller title.
That would be refreshing. Some type of like Resogun.
Because I see kind of Housemarque and Team Sobi kind of in a similar,
Yep.
place. They're kind of more like the niche studios, but the more creative studios.
Absolutely.
And then like, because also game development is like you can make game development pretty cheap in the like, because I know Remedy they make games pretty cheap, so I would assume Housemarque as well does.
I can imagine that. I can imagine they're probably making some type of smaller project right now while they're cooking on like some type of follow up to.
No, I think they said they're not doing a sequel.
Well, not like a sequel, but some type of successor.
I think they want to do something different.
I
If I
guess
remember.
they're cooking then.
Yeah, and then we also know about that horror game from what's it called? Not Fire. Is it Fire Sprite? Yeah, Fire Sprite.
Not Firework. Those guys are.
I guess we can transition.
Yeah, I guess so. PlayStation recently launched Concord on PlayStation 5 and
You
PC.
would have not have known it launched, by the way. If you weren't on Twitter, you would have not have known this game launched.
And the PC numbers are definitely not great. But
That's an understatement.
but apparently it's doing better on PlayStation in some capacities.
Yeah,
So
I would have assumed that they would have a chance on consoles.
I would hope so because it's a first party PlayStation title. Like the diehard PlayStation fans, would at the very least give it a shot in some capacity.
I
But
was I was pretty bullish on it originally, but I've just completely lost interest.
you gave it more of a chance than I did. I did, brother. Like I played
It
like
just
10 minutes of
doesn't have the it factor.
I played 10 minutes of the beta and I just stopped after like the first match or two. I'm like, yeah, it's fine.
I enjoy like the first weekend, then I played it again like for the second beta weekend. I'm like, I'm just not being entertained long enough.
I think the problem is specific when it comes to like hero shooters. A big thing is character design. Like I literally at the expo that I went to, among like all the anime cosplayers, you had people dressed up as Overwatch characters. To this, even though Overwatch is a dead game in some ways for some people, Overwatch has really good character design, and you need to have League of Legends is another example. Another case where I saw a lot of League cosplayers at the convention too. I would be stunned in 2 years if I go to one of these things and I see a Concord cosplay. Because in the end of the day, like for hero shooters, you need good character design. They need to be colorful. They need to be expressive. They need to just be willing to, not be locked to like realistic movements. Like I hope I conveyed it well, but like the problem is they went with mocap and realistic like character design.
Well, speaking of Horizon Online, by the way, that is not using mocap from because there was a leak a year ago, I guess, and it seems like it has like a more Fortnite type cartoony art style.
That's smart because the developers know
I
that.
wonder if they could make that free to play since it's not mocap.
I don't think one of the problems people said Concord has is that it's $40. Helldivers is $40, and that was
No, I think the issue is with Concord is it's basically a clone of games that are free.
that's a great point. Horizon is going to probably feel
I don't
different.
want to say clone like it's a clone because it definitely has like some differentiating factors. It borrows some DNA from Destiny and Call of Duty, but like fundamentally, you are a hero shooter in these type of game modes.
It also does not help you have games like Marvel Rivals coming out this December.
Oh yeah.
All the heroes are free. That is something Overwatch doesn't even do. And you got to keep in mind, this is Disney. Disney could have easily kind of pinched their pennies with China here and tell them, hey, you
Don't
gotta
worry, Disney loves China.
have Iron Man and Black Panther in like the free rotation, and it's just no, they could have, but they didn't do that. That all the heroes are free, and for a free to play game, that is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, that's another one. The character designs are really good in Marvel Rivals. Like, but
Yeah, that Galactus waifu.
hey man, don't knock that. That's good. Fine, don't worry about it. It's from the comics, bro. All right, it's good.
It's just a bit too anime-like for my taste.
Well, you know what? You're not a weeb like I am, so it's fine. You're not weeb enough.
I'm not weeb enough.
Yeah, you're not weeb enough. You gotta build up that weeb card. Anyway, to kind of finish my kind of thoughts on Concord before I pass the talking stick to you, just you got to have good character design, and you don't have good character design for Concord. So
I don't even think it's character design alone. I think the whole like art palette, because when I like looking at those maps again, like they really don't stand out.
it's like it feels uninspired. You know what it is? I feel like with Concord, the passion was put into like the gameplay systems, the mechanics.
Yeah, I feel like the vets are not the artists. The artists are not part of the vets.
Yeah, like you have like the game side of it. You got the bones of something really cool here, but the actual presentation, it's just not it. But
I'm kind of shocked it got it in the 60s though on Metacritic.
it's in the 60s right now.
Yeah,
Wow.
but although like, cause multiplayer reviews take I guess a bit while, but like, cause I've been seeing like a lot of sites I've never heard of before on the Metacritic. I
I'm
don't
guessing.
know. It's like really weird. Let me check because I haven't checked in like a day or two.
I think
Yeah, it's
IGN
66. Dang.
6. The people
Yeah,
full.
because there's like all these weird websites, hobby consoles, game CH.
So I think
Yeah, it's like a lot of sites. Like there are the big sites like the Gamer, VGC. I
I
don't think
was.
IGN posted the review yet though.
Oh, I must be thinking of kind of funny then. But like when it comes to like multiplayer games, they're typically pretty hard to do reviews for. So I guess I it takes a little while.
Yeah, like the majority of the reviews are mixed.
Not really a surprise, to be quite honest.
I'm kind of curious. What was X Defiance reviews like?
I
Yeah,
mean,
X Defiant got a 67.
1 point more, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, listeners, watchers, play X Defiant then if you have a PlayStation.
I have played X Defiant.
Okay, so you like it.
I did not play much of it. But I think that's it. I guess I have one more topic we can cover before we move on to the big Gamescom news.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed released their Dev Diary episode last week, and I'll just give like a brief summation since I'm guessing you didn't watch it.
No, I did not.
So they like this like they're doing like a multi-part Dev Diary series basically, and this part one is called One Duel, Two Play Styles. And there's a scene where Yazuki, the samurai guy, he attempts to do, you know what leap of faith?
Yeah, I think I saw the clip on Twitter.
He
He
just
just
fumbles into a haystack like so hard, and then he's like, "That hurt." Like that was like I thought it was a really cheeky moment.
that's good. I like that.
And then they're like showcasing how like depending on the situation, for example, Yazuki might struggle more with the range enemies because they're farther away. Like they're like really trying to show how these we want to separate these players these characters as much as we wanted.
That's very interesting because yeah, you're basically making two games here,
They
and
also saw some like cool dialogue options. Like there's like at Naue, she talked about she said she had experience with instrument, and then Yazuki said he's never played an instrument before. Like I like the little touches they do.
it kind of gives it personalities a bit more like depth in it and stuff.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I thought it was a pretty good episode. If you're interested for the game, I recommend checking it out. There's a couple more details. They also shot. One thing I'm kind of concerned about is I want to say we're about 2 weeks and change away from launch, November,
Yeah.
and like because I know for a fact, since I follow behind the scenes stuff in the leagues, is there's a lot of systems in this game. And then I've heard, because there's a behind the scenes, like behind the scenes demo, and they just showed the same demo they showed in June.
Interesting. So you
Like
think that it's
it's not just like Reddit people, like people who would probably be there. I've heard from, like it is the exact same demo they showed.
so are you implying that the game might be launching
No,
in hot?
I don't think it's launching a hawk because they did the same thing for Watch Dogs Legion and what's it called, Far Cry 6. I've heard. So it's just like I think what's the issue is because we know Ubisoft is in financial trouble, right? It seems because and they released a dev diary like the day before Gamescom. It seems like they're really kind of being financially cheap with their marketing.
If I had to make a guess, it's a case that's the to kind of give benefit of the doubt here. The demo's probably the most stable build, and that's why they're showing it.
Yeah,
Because
but like even I would like to see that just like cut clips like of some systems because they have like because there's a settlement system in Valhalla and they've upgraded that in this game. Just like a lot of systems like because there's a lot of key like unique selling points you have in this game that you haven't really showed off properly or even acknowledge exist.
I guess we'll see. But when a developer typically shows off footage of it, has a demo, it if it's like not the latest build, it's because it's the most stable build. Even
I know that's the interesting thing is like during like behind the scenes they like told people not to record it like nobody's seen it before. So it's just like really strange what's going on.
I don't know, man. It's game development's hard, and I guess we'll find out the state it launches and when it releases.
I don't know. I'd imagine it launched pretty good because this is 4 years compared to Valhalla, which launched hot with 2 years and 9 months. They
And I was
definitely got time and
like,
they got support studios like Call of Duty does.
and I remember the only issue about how I had was screen tearing. I didn't
It
really,
it had a lot more. It had more than that.
really. Oh well, you know more.
Yeah, the detection system is kind of broken. Like that game is a miracle it's even playable as it is because like I think some developers even come out and say like the code is so jumbled up we don't even know how to fix some half of the things.
Wow.
But like it's like it's like a miracle is as good as it is, and it's like a pretty solid game in my opinion. It's like that was during COVID too, like 2 years and 9 months for a triple A game that's like it was probably double the length of AC Origins, their last game.
It's crazy.
Like that's a game development miracle. But I don't really have much to say for any smaller stories. What about you?
I don't really have much to say either. At this point, I think we'll wrap this all up with.
Oh, I guess we could talk about Crash.
Oh right, I didn't get a chance to watch an hour plus video, but
I didn't watch it either. I just read the tweets.
so what I understand about this whole situation is that while
Do you
after
want to
the
describe the situation first before you get into the nitty
absolute
gritty?
go ahead.
I was just gonna say there was apparently a Crash Bandicoot 5 game that was a crossover with Sly Cooper,
A
and they
spot
apparently got did I say Sly Spyro?
you made you slip up there, buddy.
With Spyro, and then I guess it was like a few months in development before it got canned, if I
Yeah,
remember. So yeah, it got canned, and a lot of people were disappointed, of course, because people love Crash and Spyro, and like I think the Crash trilogy sold 10 million copies.
yeah, and I guess I'll continue from there. So so from what I understand about the situation is Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time. It sold 5 million copies across all platforms, and when I don't know how long the timetable was, but it didn't hit the 10 million you said that Insane Trilogy sold, and Activision didn't greenlight the sequel to Crash 5, And around that time,
They did that. Made them make the brawler though, which probably sold nothing.
well, the reason why it sold nothing was it didn't. There was no Switch version, and they made a multiplayer Crash game that didn't have a single player component, and the end result, and they probably should have made it free to play, to be quite honest. And it and Microsoft didn't really help, because even after they bought Activision, they never brought that into Xbox Game Pass, or there was no PlayStation Plus deal with Sony. Like they didn't, Activision didn't really give Crash Team Rumble a genuine chance, and the end result was the game just, you can play it if you want to now, and everything is free, like all the characters and everything. But I just feel like it's just sad that Activision didn't really see the value in the franchise that they had. But my perspective is kind of different than other people that are disappointed with the news. Like, keep in mind, I didn't watch the video, so I don't know at length everything that was featured. But from what I understood, was it was basically a pseudo sequel to Crash Twinsanity. Spyro elements are going to be present. Like, characters from Twinsanity were going to show up. We were going to have more open exploration, and that's exciting. But I never expected you would get anything more than the Crash and Insane trilogy, and that because this is Activision. Like, Activision is known for just. This is just me being just sorry for being a little bit crude here. Shitting out yearly games. You don't expect quality from them, and somehow the kids friendly games were consistently solid to good, with the Skylanders games for a number of years, and those developers transitioned over to making the Crash and Spyro games and the fact that we didn't just get the Insane trilogy, but we got the Spyro remakes,
I'm really curious how much the Spyro game sold.
I'm not sure.
I don't think they ever reported it, which I don't think is a good thing.
I'm not sure. They had to do more than like 2 million, maybe. And
Maybe, but I just don't think it sold that much as well as the Crash games.
it may not have sold as well as the Crash games, but it definitely sold well enough.
Oh, it did sold 10 million units. My bad.
Oh, okay.
September 23 will have sold over 10 million units.
And he also had a great remake with Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel, which has a crap load of content in it.
Isn't Crash Team Racing like a combination of Crash Team Racing and Nitro Kart?
And not only just that, but through updates you have characters from across the entire Crash franchise.
So how does that work? Did they just have both campaigns, or?
How it works is you have the adventure mode from the original Crash Team Racing, but you have in addition to that, you have all the tracks and characters from Crash Nitro Kart in the game.
Well, I mean, Nitro Kart had I think a story campaign.
There's no story from Nitro Kart, but all the characters and tracks.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, I remember playing Nitro Kart. I remember there was like some story in it.
There was a story in it, but that wasn't remade in the.
Oh, that's kind of disappointing.
I'm just glad that those tracks and characters made it in the game at the very least.
Oh, okay.
But my whole point is, I never expected a Crash 4. I'm just happy that we got what we got, and all the games were largely high quality. And it's just a case of just be glad of what you got, because this isn't like Activision doesn't need Crash and Spyro. I'm just gonna be brutally honest here. Activision has Call of Duty, and through King they got Candy Crush, and through Blizzard they got World of Warcraft and Diablo. With those 4 franchises alone, that keeps those collective publishers afloat. And the end result is anything that is just a modest success, like the Crash and Spyro games, or even Tony Hawk for that matter, doesn't really matter to Activision. They don't care, because it's not making the Call of Duty numbers. And that's the sad reality. And this is coming from someone who loved Crash 4. As someone who loved the Insane trilogy, God knows how many hours into the Crash Team Racing Nigel Fuel on PlayStation. Like, just you can look at my hour count for that. It's nuts. And it's one of the few times I spent money on the microtransactions to get some of the customizable parts and stuff. Like, I loved that. I really loved what they did because they felt like they cared about those franchises at the time. And the reason is the Crash and Spyro games were the replacement for Skylanders. And once Activision realized, oh, we don't need to have kids games. We got Call of Duty. Call of Duty sells amazingly well. Let's just dump all our developers into this. And everyone, myself foolishly, believing Microsoft would step in and suddenly say, hey guys, we're gonna bring all your fan favorites back. How long has it been since the purchase? Long enough where they could have bought all the Crash and Spyro games from the original Xbox and the Xbox 360 in the backward compatibility program, because I don't want to hear a damn word from anyone about this. They own those games. This isn't like Tony Hawk where you have to license music out, or the Marvel stuff where you have to shake hands with the rat. You own Crash and Spyro. You own all their games. Doesn't matter if some of them are trash. You own them. You have no excuse not to bring them into your backward compatibility program, but you choose not to. You have initiatives of FPS boosts. So for the Crash games, the Spyro remake, the Spyro trilogy, and Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel. You could have given those games 60 frames per second support. You chose not to. You could have stepped it. Well, I will say this: maybe the Spyro element of that Crash crossover thing might happen now, because hey, Toys for Bob is cooking something, and they entered that agreement with Microsoft. So maybe there's a possibility of making some kind of Spyro game. But with how small the development team is now, I am just happy that they exist. They can make what they want to make, and if they're given the opportunity to go back to Spyro or Crash, the door's open for them, and that's nice. But in the end of the day, we see how Microsoft treats Banjo and Conker, and we see how Activision treated Crash and Spyro. So I think at this point, people who played those games should just be happy we got those games and that they're preserved on modern platforms in some capacity. Because let's be real, they're not Sega who actively needs Sonic. That's why they gave Sonic multiple chances.
Unfortunately.
I don't want to say what I always say to you when you make fun of Sonic, because but anyway, Sonic is a pillar for Sega.
I mean, it's clear, but they're also very different companies, drastically.
I know they're different companies, but the point I'm making here is Sega views Sonic as a pillar. Activision doesn't view Crash and Spyro as pillars. They're just bonuses for an era where.
If Sega had a Call of Duty, they would be making the same decisions. Let's be real.
I'm glad they don't have a Call of Duty.
Well, anyway. This is just cold-hearted business.
Well, you know, you're just partially saying that because you want me to be miserable.
No, I'm not even saying that for. I'm just saying, putting my business cap on here and saying it's just cold-hearted business.
I don't know, bro. I get the vibe that when you get the chance to pick Sonic.
Hey, I have held back a few opportunities, so let's be. Now, I want to give a bit more nuanced perspective on this, because I've been studying some game design, and I've got some insight like how pitching works. And how it usually works is you start with a pitch deck, which is you make a PowerPoint for the executives, and then if that gets greenlit, you work on a prototype. And I'm imagining for these few months they worked on a prototype, and then the next milestone, they weren't impressed by them. They either weren't impressed by the prototype, or they didn't think it would make the impact it did.
Kind of like what I was saying, where they probably figured Toys for Bob would be better off helping the Call of Duty teams out to get their games out there.
It was also like Call of Duty development was in a bit of a, let's say, very
Yes.
tight deadlines. Because you had that whole cluster with was that? Oh yeah, Sledgehammer.
And
It
Vanguard,
got kicked
right?
off the project.
Call of Duty Vanguard, right?
No, Sledgehammer was making originally. They were working with Raven to make a. It was going to be called Call of Duty Cold War. And Sledgehammer got kicked off, and then Treyarch took over. Raven stayed on as campaign leads, and they turned Cold War into Black Ops Cold War.
Hmm.
And then Sledgehammer had 2 years to make a new Call of Duty after Cold War came out,
Okay.
which would end up Vanguard.
Interesting.
So they were in. It was kind of a. They needed all hands on deck.
Damn shame.
But yeah, one more quick story tidbit. This one's a real quick one. Is Dragon Age? I think got a date. Do you have any interest in this game at all?
Not particularly, because I really don't have much of a interest in Bioware's games.
October 31st, 2024. The day
But
before Call of Duty, by the way. Actually, no, sorry, I'm wrong. It's like a week after Call of Duty.
well, Microsoft has the marketing rights for this one, so maybe
Microsoft has a lot of big third-party marketing rights this year.
That's true.
I'm not sure if that Outlaws one is gonna work out though.
Hey, you know what? If Bioware really cooked with this one, they got a winner here.
That's kind of funny because I remember Sony had some marketing for Avatar.
They did.
Because I remember when they had one of their investors calls, they had Avatar like on a slide.
And also, Avatar had like some exclusive time DLC with PlayStation.
AC Mirage was also part of it, I believe, because they released like a trailer and a showcase that State of Play. But yeah, I just wanted to mention because this is a big franchise coming back. I don't really have any love for Dragon Age, and I mean graphically, I like the art design. I'll say that. For once, I'll say I like the art design this show.
Yeah, because I remember people were very upset with the initial reveal trailer.
Yeah, I know a YouTuber and he was like part of because BioWare has like some YouTubers like they call it, like the BioWare Council or something.
Yeah.
And like they told them like that trailer is not going to be good for your audience. But I guess they already made it, so they had to release it because I'm guessing that trailer was not cheap to make. But yeah, like, and also the title. Like, I understand your focus is on the companions. That's why I changed from Dreadwolf. I'm guessing the villain to the Veilguard.
Yep.
But like, you could have just said Dragon Age Veilguard, not the Veilguard.
Look, we're not marketing dudes. We're just podcasters and other and what.
A lot of you have to think about this, especially in the game development scene. You got to think about your title too. Like, imagine if Mass Effect was called Mass Effect: The Spectres.
That's a funny name. I'm not gonna lie.
But like, I'm just saying, like, you could have removed the duh. The duh is very unnecessary.
Maybe they're trying to. Maybe they intended it at a called Dragon Age, the Veilguard.
Yeah, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to, because the Dungeons and Dragon movie, yeah, that came out last year. Did pretty well, I believe. Because that was kind of like a team-based movie. You're like part of a squad or something.
So you're thinking they tried to replicate the tone of the movie, but that just not back.
Yeah, because people just saw it as like cringe Marvel dialogue, if I remember the reaction.
Yeah, people are tired of the Marvel dialogue.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious, because I don't know if you saw that Concord was 8 years in development.
Yeah, around the time Overwatch came out.
And around Guardians of the Galaxy 2 came out.
I love those movies.
I know, but like, following trends is sometimes not a good idea in long development cycles.
I think the problem is sometimes the people lean too hard on the inspirations, and they try to be willing to kind of.
I think Concord reaches borderline copycat status.
Again, I'm trying to be respectful.
Well, like when I saw that one guy, like you know who Yondu is from the Guardian movies?
Oh God.
Yeah, that looks like a green replication of him.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. That's sad.
Like that was like borderline a copycatting and not inspiration. But I think we've said enough on these games, and I think it's time for our major news story.
And besides, if Disney really wants to go into the whole plagiarism allegations, they can just knock on PlayStation's door when they want to get the Spider-Man free Venom meeting and like, hey guys, yeah, that Concord game.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Yeah. Since you are from the Lords of Gaming, I thought we used the Lords of Gaming article on all Gamescom announcements.
Oh! Wow! Me and the team's efforts are being used as a source. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna go over every game. I'm gonna go over what I find interesting, or what I might think you might find interesting, or like just notable releases for the industry. So
before you start, I'll just get the Sonic stuff out of the way first because that aired before opening night live.
Oh, okay. So I'll be going through the direct show. So we have Borderlands 4. I am not a fan of Borderlands. I'm guessing you aren't either.
No.
Yeah, I thought the CGI trailer was cool. I have very low confidence in this game, but I just want to applaud Take-Two for their lineup for 2025 is kind of borderline insanity.
Hey man, you're gonna be living in heaven.
Yeah, but I'm kind of curious. I wonder if Mafia and GTA have crossover.
In terms of when they release, or
No, or like audience, because they're selling like cities, they're crime based. I mean, one's linear, one's open world, but like I wouldn't, because I mean, there's some people like to argue if Mafia was a GTA clone.
if I had to make a guess, if they space releases out enough, it won't be a problem.
Yeah, but Mafia is also kind of under a tight deadline. Not tight, but like I think it's gonna be like 3.5 or 4 years. Because they gotta cancel their project got canceled late 21, I want to say. Because they were working on a live service superhero game.
Oh God.
It was I don't remember the name, but I think it was called Vault or something. But it was gonna be like original universe of superheroes, basically.
That's crazy. They dodged a bullet canceling that.
I think they saw Avengers and decided to cancel it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess they went to the Mafia, the Mafia train. And from the rumors I've heard, it's gonna be a prequel to Mafia 1, and it will be in Sicily. But like, I'm just curious what the audience crossover is, and like, because I'm gonna guess it's gonna be like a 10-hour linear campaign, 10-hour linear game, kind of like the old Uncharted games. So I'm wondering what 3 to 4 years of, because it's probably going to be a bit under 4 years, because I would imagine it was canceled late 21, pre-production probably started at the end of the year or early 22.
If I were to make a guess, I wouldn't really worry in terms of is GTA 6 gonna take all the attention?
No, I don't think so. I just wonder, because I don't know. I just think the audience, like the general population.
Well, the main difference is one's gonna have a multiplayer mode that's gonna take over everything.
I'm not even confident the multiplayer mode is gonna launch. I think it's gonna be like Red Dead 2, like where they did like a small beta, like a beta a couple months later, which might not even land in 25.
I don't know, man. All I know is that
I just hope they spread them apart really well.
Well, we don't know when GTA launches. We don't know when
it's a fall release at the moment of recording.
I mean, officially. like in terms of like what they revealed? We just know
They said fall officially.
okay. Well, then we know one comes out in the fall unless it gets delayed. So if Mafia comes out early in the year,
I think Judas comes before Mafia.
hmm,
Because Judas we've been hearing for a lot more for like a long time. I would imagine I could see Judas first half, and maybe Mafia in the summer.
Mafia would be a good summer game. Not gonna lie.
And then you have, I don't know, September, October, November for GTA.
Well, Borderlands could probably be like a September game, and then GTA could be like the tail end of the year.
I could say October since Red Dead was also October.
Oh, right, they're making some kind of next gen version in Red Dead 2.
No, I'm saying I could see GTA 6 releasing in October because Red Dead Redemption 2 released in October.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what I have for. I mean, we kind of went into the broad take two. That was Borderlands.
And Mafia.
Yeah, and then we had Until Dawn. Not Until Dawn. The studio from behind Until Dawn and The Quarry. They're doing a new game in their anthology series called Directive 8020. It seems like a sci-fi horror experience.
They haven't really played any of their games, so
I haven't even played Until Dawn, to be honest.
I haven't either. I just know that people say it's really good.
Just a brief description: you play as a pioneering young astronaut, and it's an immersive horror experience that combines survival gameplay with a branching narrative.
Well, hopefully it turns out well.
And then we had a campaign gameplay for Call of Duty Black Ops 6.
I think that's really cool. I really like the fact that they kind of shown this game off, and then they kind of held off on the shooting for a little while. But good.
That's pretty common, I think, for the campaign demos.
Yeah, but I found that pretty cool.
I mean, if you play Call of Duty campaigns, you're not as impressed, but yeah, it is a cool thing. Because they've been trying to do a lot of like gameplay diversity over the coming years. Like there was a mission in Modern Warfare 2018 where like you have this like person who's like in danger, like these people. Cause there's like these like people taking over this embassy, and you're like on the camera and telling where the assistant to go to avoid like the enemies. So they've been doing a lot of missions lately like that.
Well, the more you know, then.
Yeah. And then, interesting turn of events, Dying Light DLC got turned into a standalone title that will be a more linear, like a linear campaign with, I believe, the protagonist from the first game.
Yeah, the interesting thing about that is the Roger Craig Smith voices the main character, and while I predominantly know him for Sonic, we all know him as Ezio.
Oh yeah, and Batman.
And Batman.
He's also in the Batman game this year.
Yeah, which I think also was at this show.
Yep. I don't really like. I'm not really into like zombie stuff, but I thought the trailer looked cool, and I'm happy. I'm always gonna applaud linear games because I feel like we don't get enough of those these days.
It's also nice that like it shows that Techland is in a good place right now, where they're putting out a smaller scale title to kind of keep everybody busy while they're clearly working on the next Dying Light.
Yep. And then let's see. Do you have any interest for Dragon Ball Sparkling Zero?
It's I will probably play that later down the line, but right now I'm not really that interested in it. But I have a lot of hype for it.
I have some friends who are a fan of Dragon Ball, and I'm sure they'll love this.
Absolutely, especially if you grew up with the Budokai games.
Oh yeah. And then Infinity Nikki, I think, got a trailer at the showcase as well.
Oh yeah, like this is funny. Originally,
the dress-up game that had 12 million signups.
This is the interesting thing. Like I originally thought that, like when it was first revealed a few years ago.
Was it a few years ago? I thought that was this year as it revealed. At the
I'm
State of Play in May. That's when the first time I saw it.
it definitely. Maybe you're right and I'm wrong, but I definitely remember seeing this at one point. I'm like, oh, this looks so cool, and then someone told me, it's a free to play game, and I'm like, oh, never mind. Because I like platforms. I really
Yeah,
like.
it was announced at the State of Play. I was right.
Yeah, like I thought it was like a platformer type thing. It's like, oh, it's a free to play game, and I'm like, oh.
I heard it's like some sort, also has some dress up stuff.
Well, hopefully it finds its audience. And no, I'm not part of that audience. I would not.
You know,
All
one of the 12 million signups.
But I guess let's move on to the next game.
By the way, if any of you signed up on that, I bet you're on the FBI watch list.
Even little girls, come on, man, what do they do?
Yeah, it's all little girls, I bet.
Yes, all little girls, man. Come on, be nice to the kids. What did they do to you, huh?
Civilization 7, another Take-Two title. I've never really played RTSs, but I would be down to check out Civilization at some point. What about you?
I
Any
think
interest?
it's interesting that it's coming to Switch. Apparently, I don't know how it's going to run on Switch, but
Oh, February.
it's also interesting that maybe they've been doing this for all the recent Civilization games. So if I'm wrong, let me know. But
I doubt they're the most intensive.
But I still find it interesting that they're launching this day and date on console and PC, which is a good sign that like these turn-based like PC titles, they're finding an audience on console to want to work into having a control scheme adapted to consoles.
Mm. And then we have opening night. I mean, sorry, that's the title. Monster Hunter Wilds, another trailer. Do you have any history with this franchise?
I tried playing a little bit of Monster Hunter World, but one of my close friends was saying, "Oh, Monster Hunter is great," and I played it, and I just, yeah, okay, I just stopped playing because I again with Monster Hunter, it's the style of game where you really have to invest in character builds, and if you're not really, and I don't really click with those kind of games. I personally really like the games where you kind of get into the action pretty quickly, or you don't really have to worry about like move sets for your character in the sense of like say Final Fantasy 16, Devil May Cry, where you have like, oh, your attack does this, you have a range attack, this, that, whatever, and you're fine. Now, obviously, there's expansion and depth as you play the games, but I like a game where you just jump in. You don't have to worry about, oh, I have to get this piece of armor. Oh, I have to, figure out the heft of the weapon I want to use. But I will admit, Monster Hunter. I will admit that I like the fact that this new one seemingly is adapting the gameplay innovations that Wise had for the formula and applying that to the more graphically intensive openness of that world offered. But apparently, it struggles on consoles, according to Gamescom impressions.
Yeah, I would assume it's probably the same age as Dragon Dogma.
Another one. Come on, another game that isn't ready for console, but they're putting it on console anyway. But then again, it's very possible that like the build at Gamescom is just not fully polished yet.
Yeah, I mean, polishing does kind of happen at the end of development, I would say.
Yep, that's what the Avowed developers literally said in the interview.
Yeah, it's like a common thing. It's also kind of like graphics. Also, like the graphics, the focus on graphics also comes pretty late in development.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really have a history with this franchise. It's just not for me. I don't know. I have a strange relationship with Capcom. I don't really like any of their IPs, which you can just call me Western trash, but they're not for me. I
Come on,
prefer Dead Space over Resident Evil.
you don't have a soft spot for the Blue Bomber? You don't like Mega Man?
No,
Okay.
I've
I would
never really actually played a Mega Man game, but I just, based on what I know about it, I don't think it's for me.
okay, if you're gonna play any Mega Man game, I think you might like the the original Mega Man X, which is like a faster paced version of like the NES Mega Man games, where you have like you have a dash ability, you can jump from wall to wall, and it's not like the original Mega Man X isn't the most challenging of the X games, but it's iconic for a reason. And just an idea if you want to get into the series, or if you like, if you want to get into like the RPG rabbit hole, you have the Maddie approved Mega Man Battle Networks. If you like 3D Zelda games, you got the Legends titles.
Well, since we were talking about Mega Man, that's a perfect transition to the secret level. I believe that's what it's called.
Oh yeah, it's a great segue. Yeah, that looks really cool. Where it's like you have all these video game franchises crossing over, like God of War, Concord.
Outer Worlds from Xbox.
Yep. Mega Man from Capcom.
I saw Jin from Ghost of Tsushima.
And that graphics studio also did the cinematics for games like Shadow.
By the way, do you know who was like one of the founders or one of the leads at the studio?
Yeah.
He's the director of Deadpool 1.
That was such a good movie.
They like the original pitch. They made like a cinematic thing, you know?
Yeah, I saw that, which was leaked.
Yeah. It's definitely Ryan Reynolds leaked it.
He's bringing that to the freaking grave.
I think I saw like a clip where the Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman did like a lie detector thing, the polygraph, and Hugh Jackman straight up asked.
They asked him that question. He was trying to avoid it, but the fucking thing was. I'm sorry for cursing. Sorry, and the thing was going off.
Yeah, but it has a lot of like interesting. Like I'm kind of curious how this will work, because they also have Pac-Man, by the way, and Warhammer, and Dungeons and Dragons, and Armored Core from Software.
Interesting pick from Software. You had to think it'd be Elden Ring.
Yeah. Oh, there's also Saifu.
No, yeah.
Oh, apparently it's the Outer Worlds 2, not Outer Worlds.
They said Outer Worlds 2.
I'm looking at this article. It says individual week in the first Imagination preview include Unreal Tournament, Mega Man, Honor of Kings, Concord, Armored Core, Crossfire, Dungeons and Dragon, Exodus. That's the new space IP game from the veteran Mass Effect devs. Saifu, and the Outer Worlds 2.
That's very interesting. They specify it's the second one.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
I'm guessing the marketing cycle is that for the second Outer Worlds 2 is going to kick off next year then.
I guess, but it's a 26th title, I feel like, so it's kind of early. You know what you think?
I mean, Xbox announced it was not shy about revealing things early, so I wouldn't be shocked if they announced it next year.
No, they already announced it, like the Outer Worlds 2.
Oh, like show gameplay and stuff.
Oh, I guess they could. That kind of makes me curious what's going on with, what's that? Clockwork, isn't it?
Yeah, Clockwork Revolution. I'm guessing that's
because they announced it last year and they were radio silent this year.
No, it was they didn't really give a window for that, if I remember correctly. They just said
but I just feel like it would be closer, since they're probably keeping announcing things more sooner than later.
If I had to make a guess, that is if that's not a full game next year, that's probably going to be one of the 2026 games that Microsoft's going to try to use to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Along with Perfect Dark, E-Day, Call of Duty, etc. They next year still.
I don't know much about this game, but do you know anything about Reanimal?
Reanimal?
Yeah.
That does not ring any bells at all.
Oh, it's a new co-op horror adventure game from THQ Nordic. I've just been seeing a lot of people talk about it.
Yeah, okay. I don't know much about it. But
the creative Little Nightmares. That's what it is.
My brain's been so busy with that stuff. I completely forgot about like all the announcements at Gamescom. But yeah, that is a kind of like a successor to Little Nightmares, which is interesting because we have a third one coming out.
Yeah, yeah. You can segue into that. Any comment on Little Nightmares 3? I've never played Little Nightmares. Do you know
I
what they're about?
I never played them either, but I know, but I own the first two on Xbox.
Oh, they're puzzle platform horror games. I see.
Yeah, yeah, they're puzzle platformers. The first one was single player, but the second one and this third one are co-op. You can play the whole game in co-op.
This reminds me of It
It
Takes Two. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, the game that we have to try to finish at some point.
Yeah, we did co-op that sometime.
Yeah,
What's interesting was The Little Nightmares is published by Bandai Namco, but right now they're working with THQ Nordic.
I'm guessing they had a new IP and a new concept that they couldn't do within Little Nightmares, so they partnered with THQ Nordic, and that's why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah. And then we saw Dune Awakening, the exclusive gameplay reveal MMO.
This genuinely impressed me. I maybe because originally when I was thinking of like that like top down RTS game. I think, but when I saw this, I'm like, wait a minute, you can use the controller. I see button icons and everything. It looked like a fully open world Dune game.
It is an open world Dune game.
Yeah, that was really surprising. I didn't. It took me by complete surprise.
Yeah, it's a role playing video game is what it's specified as.
That's cool. Hopefully it comes out well. It's all coming out on PC first, and then consoles later on.
Interestingly, I don't know. I've talked to some other people about this, and they kind of agree with me. Is that the character models or some of the visuals kind of look very dated.
For Dune,
Yeah. When I saw those characters on screen, I'm like, am I looking at a PS2 game?
I was kind of more interested in like the shipbuilding stuff because that looked pretty cool. But again, I'm more of like if the gameplay is good and like the
I mean,
art is
for
decent.
me is I don't need like next generation gameplay, but I just would like current generation visuals.
I'm not as picky when it comes to visuals. I'm not
I'm
calling.
I'm I'm pretty. I wouldn't call myself picky, but I do have a line.
I'm not. I'm sorry if it sounds like I was calling.
I know. I was just making it clear.
Okay, but for me, when it comes to graphics, I don't mind realism or if something is like a little bit dated. But for me, I more so prefer like the cartoony, like stylized look. I feel like that holds up a lot better than
Hmm.
the visuals that, yeah, if you're not Rockstar or Naughty Dog, can age like milk depending on the game.
I don't know. There's some games with, like with that focus on art styles that really age really well. I think of games like Ghost of Tsushima that still looks a marvel today.
Yeah, because that was a later generation PS4 game, so it just and
It wasn't even just that. It was because for the art style, they weren't
oh
like just going for realism. They wanted to make like moving paintings.
yeah, like yeah, you can make fun of me as much as you want here because I didn't finish it.
I understand. It is what it is.
But I will definitely agree. Ghost is a beautiful game.
Oh yeah. And then this is kind of interesting because when I watched the trailer originally, I wasn't really a Kingdom Come Deliverance fan at the time. But a week or two later, now I am hyped for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
I have a question actually, since you played the first one. Is the first one first person too?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Well, what's an interesting tidbit is I don't know if you know that people complain about the combat of the first one a lot.
You complain about the combat?
Yeah, because basically you're a peasant and they want you to feel like you're shit.
Damn.
They want you to feel like you're garbage and you suck. But as like the game progresses, you eventually become a squire. You finally get some combat training. Like it just takes a long time for you to get the proper skills to be good at combat.
It's one of those style. It's one of those games where the developers intend for the player to kind of really want to invest in their experience, and if they don't, the door's that way.
But for the sequel is everything you learned in the first game you already know.
So
So
I
that
guess they
so
want to
that could
give.
make it easier for people who kind of struggle with the first one's combat.
I'm guessing they probably figured, listen, we want more people to actually
I
play.
mean, they just figured good because we already had you like learn it through the story in the first one, so this is a continuation.
That's cool.
So I think that's going to be interesting. But I do hope they fix the lockpicking minigame because that lockpicking game felt like it was designed for PC, not controllers.
Damn.
And then yeah, but I am as I get more and more into Kingdom Come Deliverance, I will have more to say about this. But the gameplay trailer was like an announcement for a future gameplay showcasing I think they had last week, which was separate from Gamescom, which I took a look at and it looks pretty impressive and graphically nice. Although it is still 4K 30.
Well, I guess it's another one of those cases where they design it more with the like a CPU.
It's a pretty intensive game, yeah. There's an interesting quote though. They said like I think something about Series S having like 25% more RAM than the Xbox One and PS4, so they made the game 25% more bigger.
They're building around limitations of the current platforms. That's interesting.
Yeah, or the lowest nomination.
Hey, maybe they can get it running on Switch too.
And then we got Starfield. We kind of skipped this during our Xbox talk, but it's nice to see some vehicles, which should have been at launch, in my opinion. But it's
Yeah,
nice to see this game adding updates with people kind of disagree with the original developer's opinion on vehicles. They kind
no,
of listen to
I
feedback.
I think what the problem was, they had a lot of ideas for the game, but because it already got delayed, they couldn't delay it again. So they
I
just,
don't think so. I think it was like a fundamental choice.
well, regardless, they took feedback and they're applying it to the game, and people are
Yeah.
definitely enjoying the vehicles.
Speaking of Xbox, Genshin Impact to Xbox for all the weebs and other weirdos.
There was a lot of Genshin cosplays at the expo. A lot.
Do you have any interest in this?
Not really.
Gotcha.
This is a tangent aside. I really was getting into Zenless Zone Zero for a little while, but the problem was there was this one character that they added to the game, and I wanted to get the character, but in order to do that, you needed to get like the bulls, and I spent $10 or so to try to get bulls, and I didn't get the character, and I literally told myself no, and I unsold the game because I know myself. I'm probably gonna piss away money trying to get this cop character, and I'm like, no. And Zenless is more fair in comparison to Genshin. So yeah, no, thank you. I'm good. I'm good. I'm avoiding this. God bless those who enjoy Genshin game, who enjoy Hoyoverse games. But my issue with Hoyoverse titles has always been you have these really great character designs. You have these really great concepts. One's an open world game with Genshin. One's a turn-based RPG with Honkai. And then most recently, you got this really fun like action beat 'em up game with Zenless. But they're wrapped around like this whole. If you want to get the cool characters, you can't buy the characters. You can't earn the characters. You have to use wolves to get the characters. And I'm sitting here going, you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. I'm not
They know
fooling.
what they're doing with those skins too.
Yeah, exactly. But we're not going to go in any more length about the designs. But regardless, I I find it very interesting that Xbox managed to get this on their console when it's been exclusive to PlayStation and mobile platforms and PC for a long time. So it makes me wonder if Honkai Star Rail is going to come sometime next year to Xbox, and whenever the exclusivity with Zenless ends, that follows suit.
Mm.
Because with Xbox, they're very kind of inconsistent when it comes to Japan support. Like you have a big partnership with Atlas and Sega, but you're missing out on Capcom games. But give Capcom money and they put Path of the Goddess in Game Pass. So I don't know.
That was a really smart move on their part, though.
It was, and maybe with Genshin, I think another aspect to the whole game is also worth noting that it says Xbox and Game Pass, and when you
Oh, is it Game Pass?
It mentions Game Pass, and the thing that
Oh.
makes kind of it makes you wonder: is this going to be like
Is Genshin not a free-to-play game?
Yeah, this is a free-to-play game. Like,
so why does it matter if it's in Game Pass or not?
My guess is 2 reasons. One, it's kind of like Fortnite and it's cloud streaming, so you can stream it on all platforms. Or 2, it's similar to the whole Riot Games deal where if you link your Game Pass account with, or Xbox account with Game Pass with, like, whatever Riot thing you have, or in the case of Genshin, your Hoyo account, you get all the characters.
Oh.
And that would be huge.
Kind of reminds me what Call of Duty used to do with PlayStation before, Xbox bottom is, like, every season they have, like, a pack of skins and cosmetics for, like, only for PlayStation Plus subscribers.
That's interesting.
Like, every season just have some new cosmetic pack.
Xbox does this in a way with Fantasy Star Online, where every single month you get, like, currency for free.
I see. But yeah, that's what I have to say about you weebs. Now, from the Fable creator, Masters of Albion.
I love the fact that everyone was that Jeff was kind of hoping everyone would be, like, excited, but everyone was kind of thinking instead, is this another scam from Molyneux?
Oh, I don't know much about Molyneux, so what do you mean another scam?
Okay, I'm being really mean. The problem with Peter Molyneux is he over-promises for a lot of his projects, and, like, Fable, he did this, Black and I specifically remember, like, back in the day, with the Fable games, he really promised a lot with them, and he didn't always really deliver, like, the big, like, the really big features that he said were going to be in the games. He's also infamous for Milo on, like, the Kinect, that creepy, like, where you talk to the kid and you get, like, the kid dynamically talking to you back, but it's like that was fake. And then I think something with a Kickstarter project that completely fell apart. I don't really remember the specifics. It's been a long time, but
yeah, I didn't know much about it. I just knew he was the creator of Fable. I actually never played Fable either.
He also made this game series called Black and White, and that's
yeah. I'm looking at this article. He's made Black and White, Theme Park, and Dungeon Keeper.
Yeah, and that's what this game that he announced is inspired by, where you play as, like, a godlike character, you help in this town, and interestingly, you can actually control individual people, as you see in the trailer. But as you see in the trailer, it looks rough, but maybe polished and extra dev time, it could turn out really well.
It's happy to hear that. Kind of interesting how he went from Fable to, I don't know, I would call this indie or AA.
Well, I just wish the best for him.
Yeah, kind of interesting how he kind of left the AAA scene.
Well, the AAA scene, the more money you have, the more resources you're given. I imagine these big visionaries kind of get too big for their britches, maybe. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but they kind of go beyond what they realistically could do for their projects, and the end result is when they promise things for their game, they can't deliver it at launch, or they can't deliver it at all, and you disappoint the people you promised you would do stuff for. But maybe him having a smaller scale team and a smaller scale budget, he can kind of realistically set his vision for the overall project, and you can get a really solid game.
I see. Sounds good. And now next, the game that could have saved PSVR 2, Batman Arkham Shadow.
That's a good way to put it. That would have been
a Cinematic Class exclusive.
So no one's gonna play it. That's good to know. I'm being really harsh. I'm sorry, but, like, I don't.
Didn't I hear, like, Xbox is partnering with Meta?
They are. For all the MetaQuest headsets, even the lowest end ones, you can use Game Pass streaming.
Ah. I could be smarter than instead of going into VR like Sony did, they're just gonna have their VR partner.
Well, I mean, VR is an expensive venture, and you have to design games around the headset.
I want to know. I believe Meta is Mondo Unreal scheme, man. Where do they get all that money from that tech?
For what?
For Meta, like the whole going from Facebook to VR.
Facebook has a lot of money, dude. They have a
I know
lot
they do a lot of money, but like they've also burned so much cash for the Quest.
Well, I mean, it's not like they didn't make decisions that affected developers. Like they shut down Ready at Dawn.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just skeptic on Meta in general.
I don't blame you, but I mean, I wouldn't say they know what they're doing, but they got this VR platform and they're sticking with it, and they're the only ones really doing anything in that space because Apple just basically made you got to sell 2 kidneys to get this Vision Pro thing, and PlayStation made a paperweight that some games use, but in reality, it costs too much money when people don't really have that much money to work with right now.
I think it's been going on sale like for $350 these days, and $450 or something, or $3.
Now, if right now, if you get that alongside like the converter thing, you got a really good value because it works with PC
Yeah. It's probably like
and PlayStation.
the optimal VR headset for PC. I'm not sure, but I would assume it is now.
Well,
Because they also got like really good controllers.
I think the problem,
I know there's like some issues with supporting that on PC.
it's not perfect yet, but once all the kinks are ironed out with PC support, it's probably going to be the most affordable PC VR kit.
Yeah.
So,
All right. And this one was my pride and joy of the event, if you don't know already. We talked about it a bit earlier, but Mafia: The Old Country got unveiled.
and was like technically the last announcement of the show.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was. And it was a pretty, I guess, announcement for a future reveal, basically.
Well, what 2K
They
was
said stay tuned for December, basically, the Game Awards.
2K was probably thinking we're gonna start the marketing cycle for this now, and they figured now's a good time to do it.
I mean, a good tease is not never. I'm not gonna complain about a good tease.
It's not like It's not like we're gonna be waiting long for.
Yeah, literally it's coming out next year, so.
Yeah, they show probably the plan is they do the teaser right now. They show the gameplay in December with potentially a release window, and then we see it again at like some event from whatever company early next year, and then the game comes out in the summertime.
Yeah. The Old Country beckons. For the first, not the first. We've had some missions in the series where you go to Sicily, but this is the first time like you go much deeper and look into Sicily. And there's there's a character in the first Mafia game. He's kind of like your antagonist, but he's kind of like your ally in the beginning. Like you'd be playing like a young version as him.
Are we gonna see Mario and say it's a me, Mario?
No, that's Assassin's Creed 2.
Oh, okay. Mama
Speaking
mia.
of Persona 3 Aegis, you talked about it during your Anime Expo adventures. Anything to add on here?
I will.
September 10th, 24, by the way.
Well, one thing I will comment on is when I talked to the Atlas rep, they were basically I asked them about um the Switch version, like a Switch version, because that was I commented a lot of the recent Persona games came out on other platforms, but the Switch did not get reload. Are you gonna with the Switch 2 potentially on the horizon? Are you considering bringing this to that? And I got a to be determined. So, but
for our Game Pass subscribers out there, this is a free to Ultimate subscribers.
And when my good friend says free, he means free. It's not linked to your account at all. When you redeem it as a perk, even if you unsub from Game Pass, you keep it.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
It's completely free if you, because I checked. Like you click, you want to when you click manage, like the expansion pass, it registers it as like a normal purchase.
Mm. Okay, and the last thing I have here, Indiana Jones. We got the date,
Before we
December
get
9th, I believe.
before we get to that, I actually asked the Atlas about the decision with putting that as a Game Pass Ultimate perk, and she said like, well, I can't comment on that directly. We just wanted to get back to our community. So
All
anyway,
right.
Jones. So I interrupted. Take it away.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is my second most anticipated game of the year,
Looks sick.
and then yeah, I like seeing Troy Baker's narration in the trailer.
He killed it as Indy. It sounds
Yeah,
just
he sounds good. He sounds pretty good. He looks like they did a good job with the face model. Like he looks like Troy, but he also looks like Indiana Jones.
it looks fantastic.
The environments look beautiful. You see a variety of environments, and you kind of get a look. You get like a sneak peek at some of the puzzles, the journals. You can take pictures.
You get adventure points, and you can use those adventure points to get.
I am still, I don't want to say skeptic, but concerned because Arcade here has given us some insight about the gameplay loop, but I don't know. I kind of need to see with my own eyes.
Yeah,
This seems like it's much different than I
unfortunately,
anticipated.
we wouldn't keep in mind the digital event was just the video footage that Machine Games and Bethesda was sharing.
Yeah, yeah.
So no hands-on with the game, unlike Avowed.
Honestly, I think I heard Matty complain about like he doesn't really like hands-off events at all.
No, he commented on that, and I mentioned that in the article I wrote. That unfortunately, it's unfortunate there was no hands-on impressions. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm excited for this game. That's a cool collector's edition for anyone out there who still buys physical stuff on Xbox.
it'll probably be available for PlayStation owners early next year when it comes to that.
I mean, I'm definitely not gonna buy it at launch since I'm already gonna play it on Xbox, but I'd definitely like to replay that game at some point with DualSense features.
And and imagine if there's like a, I don't think they'll do this, but imagine if they had like a VR mode. That would
Oh, I heard someone say it looks like a VR game,
be funny.
which I don't deny that this would be a cool VR game if it wasn't a VR game.
Well, the thing is, you would have to adapt the third-person transitions to
Yeah,
VR.
yeah. I mean, aside from that, that would be cool. Kind of reminds you of the Iron Man VR game where I heard was pretty good.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. That eventually got ported to Meta.
I think they're working on a new game now.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's also a superhero thing. Let me look this up because I think I saw an announcement recently.
Well, it would be wild if it was Superman. Like WB recently agreed to license. They're gonna look into licensing the IP out more. So a VR Superman game would be pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Oh, they were acquired by Meta, by the way, the studio who worked in the Iron Man game.
Not surprised.
Yeah, they ported Iron Man to a Meta as well.
Probably the reason why they bought them. To be quite honest, they made a really impressive game. They wanted it on their platform, and once it was successful, they got the studio.
Oh, they're the ones working the Arkham game. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, no wonder why it looks so good.
I was like, I know they're working on something superhero related that's not Iron Man.
That's an interesting transition. You going from flying around to like Batman Arkham stuff.
But yeah, that's all we have for Gamescom. I didn't watch the show itself because I was kind of at work, but I did some, watched every often, watch the trailers. Do you have any comments about the show? Because I didn't watch the show itself.
I watched the show.
Oh, wait, before you continue, I've skipped one game by accident. Yeah, Don't Nod's upcoming game, Lost Records, Blooming Range.
interestingly, it's 2 episodes. One coming out soon. One coming out next year.
Ah, that's interesting. I don't know. I feel like the episodes format they need to make sure they're close to each other
Yeah.
because people lose interest real quick when it's that long wait.
Well, maybe it helps them polish sections of the game up. I imagine.
I don't know, but I'd rather you just delay and do the 2 episode releases.
Who knows?
Yeah, but sorry about interrupting you. Continue with your conclusive thoughts.
Yeah. The only two things. One, me and like the other editors, writers, like me and like 4 of them from Awards of Gaming, we were watching the show, taking notes, and we were just having fun, kind of commenting on all the games. So that was fun. And that's how we kind of got the article right enough to.
By the way, thanks Lords of Gaming for the article.
And the second thing is, this was before opening night live. Sonic X Shadow Generations got a trailer, showing
Ah,
like all Shadow's new Doom powers, and the Doom powers are basically like Shadow, because of like the alien DNA in him from Black Doom. He can get different abilities, like you can grow a pair like devil wings and you can glide through some sections of the levels. He has like upgrades to like his melee like 2 abilities.
wait, I just interrupt you one sec. I just saw a breaking story.
Ooh, what happened?
Apparently, Horizon Lego's date just got leaked.
Oh yeah, sometime in November, right?
November 14th. Possible direct announcement soon. It
Hmm.
was found by a Reddit user. I just wanted to put that in.
Okay, fair enough. You just wanted to interrupt me talking about Sonic, didn't you?
Didn't even cross my mind.
You, you gotta respect the goat. You gotta respect them.
I respect Logic Clark.
Anyways, continuing my point. So the trailer revealed a new ability Shadow can use throughout the different levels, and 2 of those levels were interestingly from Sonic Forces and Sonic Frontiers. The Sonic Forces level is Sunset Heights, and the Sonic Frontiers level is Chaos Island. The interesting reason why the reason why I bring this up is everyone made the game narratively supposedly takes place during the events of Sonic Generations.
Mm.
So when Shadow is exploring these levels, from what we know so far, he's going into the future to experience these levels. So there's narrative importance to some of the level choices they made, and I feel like with the Frontiers choice, it ties back into the narrative beats from Frontiers in regards to the origins of the Chaos Emeralds and the alien like nature to them in some regards. But I'm not spoiling that because people might not have played it, or in your case, laugh at the idea that Sonic has a story. But whatever. Um, and I just really love how polished it looks. Like that is the one big takeaway I can really say about Shadow Generations, where you have Sonic Generations, which is objectively one of the best Sonic games of in a long time. Like I love Frontiers. I think it's a great game. But Sonic Generations is like a game anyone can pick up. That can just and there's no real kind of like there's no asterisk, there's no nothing. You pick up Generations, you can just have fun start to finish, and pair that with Shadow Generations, which is taking all the lessons and feedback that Sonic Team has gotten from all the recent Sonic games, including from Sonic Frontiers, and applying that to a more concise, like linear experience where you have one open zone to explore, you have most likely 7 to 8 zones to run through, and a story and a game that apparently is as long as Generations. With all the stuff they're revealing about this, I'm thinking it's longer than Generations. So you have like a really like a long, lengthy experience that is a really nice complement to Sonic Generations. And pairing this alongside Sonic 3, which as of this recording, the trailer's dropping tomorrow. So Sega actually making a really smart decision for once when it comes to cross promotion. They have a Sonic product ready for the Sonic movie. It's big. It's really big.
It's big.
I see the joke you're making. Like, big. I love that. I love that. The one Sonic thing you know about.
Oh, is that a Sonic thing? I did not even know.
Okay.
I didn't even do a Sonic reference.
I'm not explaining it. You'll find the audience knows. I'm positive. Astro Parrot is probably watching this. He knows what I'm. Sean Mason. You guys know what I'm. You know what? You know what he accidentally referenced.
No, I know. I'm scared that I referenced that.
You know more about Sonic than you let on, huh?
All right. Do you have any other thoughts?
I think that's it in terms of Gamescom stuff.
All right. That was a meaty episode because of Gamescom, but we have one write-in from our friend of the show, Interstellar Titan. He's a friend of the show, and he has asked this question. I thought was because I asked for some write-ins from our audience, and this is what we got. What, in your opinion, will be the biggest success out of these games from 2025, and will be a flop and the secret hit?
Honestly, I don't have a list of every game coming out next year, but in terms of the biggest success, I think
that one's kind of clear.
we can both collectively agree it's going to be GTA 6, which they'll easily get $100+ out of every single customer.
It's gonna make Black Myth getting 10 million copies in a week, like chump change.
Yeah, it's also going to be I would be shocked. Actually, I wouldn't be shocked if it's one of the first current generation games that launches at $80 to $90 because Rockstar can get away with that.
I don't think they will.
I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong.
I don't think they will, but I think they want it because you want to grab as many people as you want.
Also, you could probably just link that with like the early access version, like Hogwarts and other games have been doing.
Yeah. But yeah, and then what about what will be a flop?
I'm sorry this is like beating down on like a PlayStation's multiplayer initiative, but whatever Haven's making.
But you mean like from the class of 20? Oh, you said Haven?
Yeah, whatever.
I thought you were talking about Concord. My bad.
Well, we already know Concord isn't doing amazing.
Yeah. I was gonna say
the next live service venture from PlayStation is probably gonna.
I kind of disagree with Haven. I think out of all the live service games, it's the one with the best chance.
That's the one that has like the Rainbow Six.
Rainbow Six and the first Watch Dogs 1 and 2 and the older Assassin's Creed games, guys. Because it's from Ubisoft Montreal, and Montreal has made like every AC game. Because it's in the Montreal space, and I'm gonna guess they have people from Ubisoft Montreal, and there's like a lot of people. Most of those people, because that whole studio works since like the first Assassin's Creed, and, other Ubisoft titles. And Rainbow Six, I'm gonna guess, has some talent. And I think they got the art director from one of the Watch Dogs games.
I guess we'll see, man. But I don't.
I think it has, because Concord, no offense, but it didn't have that unique premise.
That's true. That's true. And I remember Fair Games. It actually had an art style.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's just like I'm not even sure if you could compare it to Payday, because it's not exactly Payday.
So what would you think is a better? Because I'm kind of at a blank in terms of.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the 5 Borderlands fans, but I think it's Borderlands 4.
Oh, I should have picked that. That's a much better answer. I hope it's on a flop, but with how the movie was.
Oh, I don't think that movie is gonna do that game any favors.
Not.
And that director did not get the best reputation.
Randy Pitchford is
He's also the one who said Epic Games is gonna take over Steam. Years ago, that was his prediction.
Yeah, that's cute.
I don't have a lot of faith in this game. I'm sorry because I know there's some people who'll be watching this and are excited for Borderlands.
Again, keep in mind we both hope we're wrong, but
Yeah, I don't want the game to be bad for the fans, but that would be my assumption for. I mean, of course, the Xbox games don't sell, but we don't need to talk about that.
listen, man, they're gonna when they drop on PlayStation, they're gonna sell like hotcakes. What are you talking about? Indiana Jones, really big.
Yeah, and then what would be a success in your opinion?
I already kind of gave it my answer. GTA.
No, secret.
Oh, Secret.
Like, hidden gem that would be really
Oh,
successful.
Hidden Gem. Um, again, I need a list of everything that's coming out next year in front of me. But I wouldn't be surprised if
Adamfall could be one.
that's a good point because it has a lot of Fallout energy to it.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of games next year.
I'm just my brain is at a complete blank of what's next year. So I'm just gonna go with Adamfall then in that case, but I wouldn't be surprised if a major like indie game just break just comes out of nowhere.
Mhm.
Maybe it's another China game. Like that's like a common thing this year where we got stuff. We got Stellar Blade and Black Myth, and both people really can.
I mean, Phantom Zero could make it next year.
What can make it next year?
Phantom Zero. Phantom Blade Zero.
That's true. That's a good point. So maybe that could be the game.
So, are you going with? What are you going with?
I guess I'll go with Phantom Zero or an indie game.
Okay. For me, I'm gonna go with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
You think it's gonna be like the Baldur's Gate of 2025?
I think so. I don't know. I know Locke. He's a big fan of that, and he was a big fan of Baldur's. And I know he talks about what they're like doing with the RPGs stuff, and I think it could do some interesting things.
That's true. Oh,
so,
I just remember.
And also, I want to see how much did Kingdom Come sell, because for it to get a sequel from Embracer Group, it probably did pretty well.
I imagine, and I'd like to request that I change the game that I picked to South of Midnight. I completely forgot that was next year.
Oh yeah, so Kingdom Come Deliverance sold 6 million copies. So I think it could make. I think since they're making the combat more accessible this time around, and probably make some other things more successful, they could do some decent things in sales.
True.
Especially if they get that like that, because the first one had like a buggy launch. So if they since they delayed the game, if they had like a really good launch, I feel like it could build some steam. I don't want to do this against Xbox. But you remember how Baldur's Gate 3 came right before Starfield?
Yeah.
You know how Kingdom Come 2 is doing, again, going against Avowed?
Oh. And the thing is, like, they're both first person. I had no idea that the first one wasn't first person.
Yeah, so like I could see them overshadowing Xbox.
Well, I will say I think Avowed is going to be different in the sense that
I know it's going to be different, but I don't know. I've been hearing some mixed reception on the previews.
the main issue that Avowed has is the melee combat. The melee combat is lackluster, and like the audio is not there at the moment.
Yeah.
So, and both
yeah.
Booked on in the lead up to launch. The performance stuff, that's a question mark, but in terms of like in game,
yeah, I think they might be able to make it to 60, possibly. Or it could be like Starfield, where it's a year later.
Yeah, that's probably gonna. It's optimization work. They want.
How many months are we from February? What is it? It's about to be September, October, November, December. About 6 months, 7 months.
The game's pretty much done at this point. They're just polishing it now.
Yeah, I mean, that reminds me. I don't know if you heard this, but Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Like when they showed the fast travel, the state of play, or not, the showcase compared, like after that showcase, One of the programmers said to the directors, "Bro, I can make it even faster."
That's crazy.
So the fast travel really looked insane, like at the showcase, but they somehow made it even faster.
But the crazy part about the Spider-Man games is the whole point of them is you can just is just you exploring. You don't even really want to do fast travel.
Yeah, I think I just replaced Spider-Man 2, and I think I fast traveled once. Like
So
it's so fun because you have so much like more traversal swinging, like more traversal mechanics with web wings and much more. Like
absolutely.
you just don't want to fast travel, quite literally. I think I'll use fast travel to see the tech. That's like the only reason I'd use fast travel. Like I want to see how fast this loads.
I remember. I think I used it once or twice. I do try to get to like with one of the side missions, but
But yeah, that was episode 2 of the Press X Code and Culture podcast. Because
yeah,
you're the man of culture.
yes, yes, we are men of culture.
I was hinting a different culture there.
No, no, we're both weebs. Come on,
But yeah, that this is episode 2, and we're hoping to become more consistent this time around.
the problem is we have to figure out scheduling.
Yeah, I think we should be able to figure out as we go on. Now that you have a set schedule.
Yes, hopefully we cannot do recordings on Sunday.
Yeah, but that was a fun time for me, and then I enjoyed talking about the gaming industry, and I think this will be a great episode for our audience. For we already got a few fans.
I'm obviously we apologize for the delay between episodes, but we're incredibly thankful for anyone who gave our podcast a shot, enjoyed what we put out there, and hopefully we improved from last time.
Yep, I think we've become less awkward.
Yes, yes, good sir. And
Yeah,
I counter all the Sonic slander effectively.
I've tried to limit it for the podcast.
Yes, and you did the best job you could, and I'm very thankful.
I did the best job, but if any of you point out some of my facial reactions, I'm sorry.
Nah, come on, we're not to Iron Lord's level yet, man. We don't have reactions at.
I did this like once as like a facial reaction to Sonic. But yeah, I know. I don't think Sonic isn't a terrible franchise. It's not even one of the worst franchises. But I'm happy you enjoy it.
I'm thankful that you're nice enough to to be modest about your dislike of Sonic.
Yes. But yeah, I am looking forward to the next year, and that's why I really want to theme this episode around 2025 in the future.
And hopefully, when we do the next episode, we can leverage some great Nintendo announcements, and I'll have a whole segment where I talk.
Hopefully, the next episode we can talk about Astro.
Yes, we'll talk about
Because that's like in less than 2 weeks, I want to say.
I can't believe it's that soon, man.
Yeah.
Apparently,
I remember it was like also there's the COD beta for the COD fans out there.
yeah, and apparently, you lucky guys in Canada, you can play Astro right now at some places at Best Buy.
Oh yeah, I saw some leaks like some of the cameos.
Let's just say, so Weeb's gonna be happy about some of them.
Oh yeah, I bet there's gonna be like a bunch of niche references I won't even know if I didn't even read the leak.
I saw them. I spoiled myself on most things.
I listened to a podcast who went over them.
Yeah, it's good. Everyone's gonna be really happy.
Oh yeah, for sure. I can't believe they put Luigi in Astro.
Oh man, I can't believe that. And they put Master Chief in it too.
Yeah, good old Master Cheeks. They gave him a thick booty.
Oh man, and I can't believe that they included
Pinocchio?
a Concord character as a skin for Astro.
Someone might actually believe that. And they put Concord in the secret level. So
Oh yeah, there's gonna be a secret Concord level. Wild.
I think it would be really cool for Astro. They made like some like levels that like you put like an Uncharted set piece or something, or something,
Oh,
like
absolutely.
levels, like actual like levels, not that's taken from, but like inspired, or like the Crash Bandicoot, they do like the Crash camera angle.
Yeah, that would be sick. And Astro already has a spin attack.
I would assume the Crash thing happened before the Microsoft deal.
It did happen, but
I wonder if they did another Astro game, could they get Crash?
that's a very good question. I guess we'll find out, won't we?
Oh yeah,
But man,
keep going, Team Asobi. We need
I can't,
we
I can't
need the continuation of Team Japan.
absolutely, and I can't believe they partnered with Sega for an exclusive Sonic level as DLC. You know, it's gonna be crazy.
Well, I think that's a wrap.
I wonder if anyone's gonna believe that.
Hey, someone believed Walt Disney was in Liza P.
Oh come on, he was a really good secret boss, bro. What are you talking about?
Oh
That's
yeah.
that sick armor was wild. He literally used his frozen head as a battering ram. It's crazy.
Well, I want to say your goodbyes to the audience.
Absolutely. RK1283 on Twitter. I'm with What'sGaming.net, and you can read our coverage on the Gamescom stuff we were able to cover, and expect content on around the Anime Expo and that as of now the upcoming Nintendo Direct, and obviously there's Lord Sonic 3 coverage and other stuff on my end, and yeah, and hopefully we get the next episode out sooner. And again, we're really thankful that you guys were nice enough to wait as long as you did for this one.
Mm,
And um, anything you want to say, man?
Nothing. You can find me on Twitter as Enrage Seahawk, or ENRAG Seahawk. And then I just want to thank the audience for being patient. And I really am hoping we can continue the streak going.
Same. This was a lot of fun.
All right. Goodbye, guys.